out there for the open house on Saturday
Yeah.
to get the shovel and the salt to clean up the walkway, and then
Yep.
it's just a block of ice all the
In
way.
other words, it came right down the side, it wasn't there when I looked.
Good evening and welcome to the Monday, January 13th, 2025 meeting of the Litchfield Board of Selectmen.
There's a meeting?
We've been in paperwork review and come out, and we'd like to start this meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice.
All right. Up first, we have review and approval of consent items. We have an AP manifest for December 31st, 2024, in the amount of $124,059.81. We have one for January 7th, 2025, in the amount of $2,687,925.79. And one for January 14th, 2025, in the amount of $91,160.30. We have a payroll manifest for January 1st, 2025, in the amount of $59,552.24. One for January 9th, 2025, in the amount of $58,503.60. And one for January 16th, 2025, in the amount of $65,292.61. We have the contract for the police prosecutor approved on December 23rd, 2024. We have an abatement for a veteran's credit approved at the prior meeting. We have an ACH payment scheduled for the Litchfield School District. We have tax collector reconciliation for December 2024. Transfer from the Recreation Expendable Trust for Camera Project, previously approved of $10,000. And we have communication received for December 4th through January 10th, which is on the website and on the portal and can be viewed there. Are there any other additional items or other business? All right. Hearing none, we'll have, I entertain a motion for for consent.
So moved.
Second.
Motion for Mr. Gannon, second for Mr. Brunel. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Public input will occur no earlier than 6:45 PM. Let's see, up next, Board Commission Update, Rec Commission. What's that?
This is where the commissions come and visit the board. And
They
give an
here?
update.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi,
Chris, want to see?
the guy creates his own eclipse and I didn't see him sitting there. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah.
I did see you the other night in through a window.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
In the hot
You
tub?
cast a
Oh, no.
giant shadow.
In the hot tub?
No, I wasn't peeping, it's my son's house. Gosh.
Pull up
What's
my
up?
notes here. I'm pulling up my notes, so I guess we're just looking for kind of a year in review type thing, all right.
So this is one of these things I suggested when I started. I wanted to have, instead of the liaisons I was talking about what the boards are doing, I thought it would be great to have the chairs of the boards or members of the boards come to us and kind of tell us what they've been doing.
Sure.
Because what we say sometimes doesn't truly reflect what the
What's going
board,
on, yeah.
and it gives you a chance to beat your own chest and beat your own drum and tell us how wonderful you are.
Sounds good. Well, I'm Chris Burns, the head chair for the Recreation Commission, and
Sir.
in no chronological order, we've renovated the non-functioning kitchen space at Talent Hall, converted that into a storage room. Pickleball was so kindly donated some storage shelves, racks that we assembled there, and really got that area cleaned up and organized. And it's pretty useful now for all of the sports that are in there, all the associations. We finished the construction of the pickleball courts with the completion of the pavilion out back. We also added a number of benches down there for the players to sit at when they're not playing pickleball. Donated 4 of those. The beautification calendar sales attributed to an additional one, so there's 5 benches down there. They were all delivered and assembled. Pickleball did most of that work. Most recently, we had an engineering firm that crawled around underneath the floor at Talent Hall to inspect the framing and structure down below there, to give us some idea of what, what's going on under there, what it looks like, if there's any damage, or if what the floor can support, if we want to look into redoing or replacing that floor. They're actually going to be presenting at our meeting tomorrow night, their findings. We've sponsored the Fall Fest, Christmas in Litchfield, the Fishing Derby, and the Litchfield Tour of Lights, is the third year running for that. We replenished the mulch at the playground at Roy Memorial Park and filled in the potholes along the gravel driveway towards the pond, from Town Hall down to the pond. That material was all donated by Tim's Turf, thank you very much, but spread by the recreation members, along with the tractor. We've purchased new nets for the tennis courts at Sawmill. Those will go up in the spring. We've completed the groundwork under the ropes course at Roy Memorial Park, taking down a bunch of trees that had fallen and making sure that was up to par with what needs to be done down there. We had the naming dedication at Schaefer Park, and Talent Hall, a number of different projects: plumbing repairs, pipe demolition, hot water heater, moving that and relocating the heating system, pest control for hornets, insects and mice, and most recently we had a surveillance camera system upgraded and installed there. And then last but not least, in the hallway, the cover for the heating unit, that'll go up as soon as we have the ability to do that, and there's pending no snow and ice surrounding that area, but we'll get that covered up as well.
That'll help. Well, sounds like a busy year. A lot going on.
It was, yeah.
And then to add in what the different leagues did, like
Yeah.
softball spread 20 yards of dirt and dug up the infields. Baseball pretty much did the same thing every year. They rebuild the fields almost. Of course, pickleball has just been so generous to the rec and help them any way possible. It's been a good, tough thing running into now is lack of indoor space.
Yes, very much so.
Cold winter.
Does anybody have any questions on this? Statements? I think you guys are doing a bang-up job over there.
Thank you very
I
much.
concur.
We're a small group, but we're dedicated, and we do, they all work hard, so.
You have a good group.
Small and mighty.
Yeah.
I'll add one that you forgot,
What's that?
the billing now of the organizations that aren't Litchfield.
Yep.
Working with finance, so we're getting that billing out now.
Right.
Yeah, our fields and building are in such desirable areas, and they look so amazing that external resources have been reaching in asking if they could use them, and then they decided, why not try to profit off it a little bit and charge a fee so that they could use the fields when our organizations are not. And they started that this year too.
Beautiful.
Hey, if it helps maintain them,
That's the idea.
that's great. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming in.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Chris.
Have a good night.
You too,
Hey, you
Chris.
too, huh?
Be careful, it's snowing again.
Put it in four-wheel drive.
4 drops per acre.
Should the mileage, is the mileage rate that's on the portal, is that, because it's not on here, so,
I was gonna make,
That's
we
why
gotta
it
make the
says,
vision.
please,
Okay.
I need someone to make a motion.
so we do have to add one item to the agenda, which is the approval of the 2025 mileage rate. Motion to add that to the agenda.
I'll make a motion,
please?
we add the approval of the 225 mileage rate. to
Motion
the
from Mr.
agenda.
Brunel,
I'll second it.
second from Ms. Queenan. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 500. So,
So what is
What do we-
it?
So,
70 cents a mile.
yes,
I know.
so the
Price of gas.
IRS raised the standard mileage rate from 67 cents to 70 cents. So we are asking that the board approves the new mileage rate, and then we will get a memo out to the various organizations and staff that of the new rate.
Okay. Then what's the other stuff? I see 21 cents a mile for medical, and then for purposes of qualified active duty members?
Yes, so those don't pertain
Right.
to the town.
They don't, okay. So 70 cents is the one that we're concerned with.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we approve the increase of the mileage rate effective January 1st, 2025 to 70 cents.
I will second that.
We have a motion from Mr. Brunel, a second from Mr. Gannon. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 500. Very good. That was quick and painless. All right. Since it is 6:45, we will open up the floor for public input.
Guess what?
How are you, sir?
I'm getting tired.
You getting tired? You don't look tired.
Hi, Ron Blanus, 15 Riverview Circle. And I'll say what I've said all along, and whether it's talking about the school or now the police station, is I am not here to oppose or argue that something doesn't need to be done with the police station. That is, I am 100% in line with that. But I still have reservations about where we are in the process and what we've done. And Bob, you and I had a few emails, and like this afternoon, I sent a number of questions. And it really is related to my concern about the process and where we are, and how this has come about, with really the lack of the proper doing things in order. In my opinion, it's really, a little bit of ready, fire, and aim, and that's where we are. It has not followed an engineering process in which you hire an engineering firm, you look at all the alternatives, you select one, you design it to a point, you get a price, and you bring it to the voters. We aren't there. So, I really think my recommendation is to change the warrant article to support engineering and do it right. Create actually a building committee. The lady up there knew that. In fact, she was the one that convinced me to join the committee that built this building. And there's been one done for Campbell High School, and I don't know, I assume there was one done for the fire station. But, no, there wasn't, strangely.
Nope. That's when everything slipped a little bit.
Yeah. So there should be.
That's not exactly true, Kevin. It didn't slip. We went forward with the conceptual plans that were developed over time, that was, and to Ron's point, was discussed by this board many different times during the process.
I'm just referring that it wasn't part of the outside part of it, the outside group.
The outside party got pulled together after we heard feedback at the
Okay.
hearing.
I
And
didn't
we spent
hear
30
that.
days working together to bring that price to a point where we thought the community would accept.
I didn't
That's
hear
what
that,
went
so
forward.
I apologize.
So.
I was here.
If there has been stuff done that's, it's not, I don't see the evidence of it. As, I've said it before, the estimate that's been put forth to come up with just shy of $6 million is 6 lines. And at this point, in an engineering, it'll be pages long if it's done correctly, and you're not there yet. As a for instance, we had at the budget committee, last budget committee meeting, the chief and Preston Hunter, is that the fellow's name?
Yes.
From Ekman, who is a construction manager. Now, I'm not gonna say because you haven't selected one yet.
Correct.
They happen to be the one that did the fire station. One of the things that disturbed me is that there was discussion about, well, what happens if, with the rising prices that they discussed, when we finally do get through and get a project designed properly and out to bid, what if the prices come in higher? What do we do? If you listen to that conversation, the answer was, well, we'll start we will redesign the building, take out places, cut where we can, and we'll scale down the building. Well, there's two things wrong with that. First of all, it indicates that the building's too big to begin with then. If we can, in the future, envision that it could be smaller. Secondly, we need to be so close to it being a final design that goes out for bid that it is, you should have the contractor on board now, and we should be presenting the guaranteed maximum price to the voters. We're not. So to hear that conversation is disturbing. So, I said it to Bob, and I think, I don't know if it got copied, the only way I would support moving forward with something like this point is put an extremely large contingency on top of what we have now. My recommendation would be 30%. The other thing that needs to be included, there's been no discussion and no identification of what you will do with the police station if they move out. I just walked around it again. That whole thing over there, except for the chief's office, really isn't fit to simply move in and start using this town hall. You need to redesign that as part of the project. That needs to be part of the consideration, it should have been. That's probably gonna cost you $600,000 to gut that all out and reconfigure it. Now, it may be high, but it's a number that seems reasonable based on the square footage. And it's the same thing the school department was gonna do with the new school. They were gonna build a new school, but no one actually had thought about tearing down the old one. What are you gonna do with it? Leave it there till it rots and falls down? So one of the things I insisted was at least, while I disagree with the new building, well, I shouldn't say that. At least I brought up that you need to include demolition, and you need to include, what are you gonna do with the 1930s building? It needs to be all-inclusive. And so this project needs to be the same way. Because I don't wanna come back and, I don't think you, say to the voters, oh, we need $600,000, by the way, next year, because we need to change the police station all over once they move out. And then final thought is, as much as, no, a couple of thoughts. So I've asked for documentation of what was considered for options other than a new build. And so this is what I got. You've seen that, Bob, right? And this was done by, I gather, I don't know for sure, Castle Booze?
Yeah.
Okay. And so where's any plans or sketch plans of options of what to support so that you could price that out? I mean, this just looks like somebody sat around a room for an afternoon and put pros and cons on it, and quite truthfully, was looking to create a matrix to support a conclusion. That's not the way to do engineering. There should at least been, okay, what could you do with this building? What additions specifically could you do? A sketch plan, a layout of that, so that you could price it out, and somebody could say, okay, well, this doesn't give us all, but does it give us enough so that we could consider that? That's how you look at options.
So, in the Castle Booth report in 2020, there were plans and sketches all in that draft.
I haven't seen it. I've asked for them. Where are they? I don't have them. That's all I've been sent.
That was in that zip file?
It's a zip.
He wasn't able to open the zip file?
He wasn't, yeah.
Okay, well, that's
Hasn't.
that's a different statement in the public to say, we sent you a bundle of files you can't open, which we'll correct that for you. We'll get that open for you.
Okay, well, I mean, that's what I
But
sent and said that's
but
what
the
the
department sent you a lot of detail.
Selectmen Burnett, I'm going to speak a little bit to where they can access some of it when I get up as well.
Okay.
Okay, but we're still at 11th hour and 59 minutes. And this conversation should have been happening over the last 10 months. So anyway, long story short, the other side of it is the engineering firm that you have should have been selected through a process of qualification-based selection. Apparently, there was some process, I don't know what it was. I don't know why a firm from Boston was selected. Seems like, in fact, if you go and look at their website and look through all their projects, which I did, the comment I would make is that they do a great job, and their projects are platinum-based and would probably put Bedford to shame. They're a wonderful firm. Every one of their projects is mega projects. My thought was, it seems like the wrong firm to be selecting for this, and we don't have a contract, so we may even not even use them if we go right through the selection process. So, with that, I will just reiterate, if you want to go ahead and try to get a warrant article, I really think you need to add a big contingency. There is no owner's representative added into that. The contingency that's in there is 10%. We learned that that 10% is to be shared by the town as well as the contractor. There's always contingency on both sides of the equation. The engineering numbers, I don't know where they came from for the firms. Does that carry all the way through construction phase services? Don't know. There's not enough detail to know. And it's, in my opinion, not ready to go to the voters.
Okay. Would you guys like to respond?
I think most of that, do you want us to do our presentation now, because it's gonna answer a lot of those
Yeah.
questions?
It's all connected
It's a
to
good
it.
time for it. We can jumble the order.
Before we go there.
Yeah.
So, the chief and I have been spending hours upon days upon weeks researching what has been done since 2009. 2009 this process started. 2010, there was a report done by BCM, and you incorporated a new police station into your impact fees. You've been collecting impact fees on a new police station. 2014, it was included again. So this isn't something new. This isn't something that hasn't had a lot of well-thought-out process. Chief Jones is the third chief to work on this.
Actually, the fifth.
Well, thank you. So, there have been reports, there was a needs assessment, a space needs assessment, a site analysis, a concept design, a probable project cost, and a final report. That's what was done in 2016. And you paid for all that. So we can do it all again, and we can pay more taxpayer money for all that. But eventually, you're gonna get right back where even BCM said in 2010, at that time, you were 2,000 square feet short of where you needed to be with this. Back in 2010. So I realized that I think what happens is when there's a long period of time, many changes in staff, the conversation gets dropped, and it doesn't appear like it's been well thought out and well done, or that all the pieces are there. They are. They've just been through different chiefs, different staff, tons of documents, and many years. And already, a lot of taxpayer money. I'll bring up your presentation, Chief.
Hold on one second. I just want to do it slightly different. Does yours mirror? Does your screen mirror? Can you just go through the town's website?
Oh, okay.
While we're waiting for that, does anybody have anything that they want
So the reason I want to do
Say
this
this?
is because
I do agree with what, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think Kim does bring a very valid point. I know it was a topic during when I sat on this board originally, my first set of terms. when I was off, I was aware of activity that was going on in 2020 about basically revamping how do we add it back in the building, updating all the costs. So it's not a topic, and as I think I've highlighted before, this was presented to CIP in concept in the beginning, that's where they were told they had to go before they got to the Brown Lagoon or to the Board of Selectmen. To Kevin's earlier point about the fire department, that topic was carried out and talked about at budget committee and at Board of Selectmen meetings as it was being developed and where we're going. And that didn't happen with this because, I don't know. I don't know, it should have been, it's this, you guys, you all approved, maybe not Steve, approved some of the funding that happened in 2020 to get the money to fix the Keshe report and update that. And someone authorized the police chief to go off and investigate the path forward. Because we are at that point now where we told the previous chiefs, we get here, we're gonna do the original plan, add on to the fire station. Let's get these costs updated. What's the right thing? So how did we get to here to the point where, apparently I won't say I'm the only one on the table, but that knew about it being talked about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And I wasn't even part of the board at the time.
You was like,
Huh?
you weren't.
I do remember us authorizing some money for the research there. Was it last year or the year before?
It was last year.
Last year we did
I
it.
remember that, but
Yeah.
That was going way
honestly,
back.
I mean, I've been on this board for almost 6 years now, and we have not discussed any police station.
Not
So
until,
I think the communication has definitely fallen through the wayside. I knew it was on CIP, but, to Mr. Oblinska's point, about the 10% that they have to cover cost overruns, I don't think that's sufficient.
That's probably fair. I mean, I think it's.
I
Oh, no
don't
doubt.
think it's sufficient. You carry at least 20%,
Yep.
and sometimes you carry more than that. So I think that number is way up. I think he's spot on for that.
So we added to the bond, but again, it brings that bond up over that number we didn't want to be at, right?
yeah,
We're
it's
at
always
6
that.
now, we didn't want to be higher than 6.
Yeah.
I mean, because I think one of the reasons why they went back to see what they could do with the building was because already said the cost was too high. I think at the time it was like $12 million or $9 million.
Correct.
I think I heard 12 million back when I was first looking at it back in 16 or 15.
And Mr. Chairman, not to interrupt you, John,
You
but-
can interrupt me.
so I have a complete of what I was able to document, of documented timeline through all this, so I'm gonna go through all of this, exactly what was done, when, by who, and some of those numbers, so I have all that stuff once Captain Tessier is done.
Yep.
I just want to first say, thank you, Ron, for coming forward and
Yeah, absolutely.
always providing the valuable input. I definitely appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. So Captain Dennis Sussy with the Litchfield Police Department. So I'm gonna, the last meeting that I spoke to you all about, Dr. Queenan had made a suggestion about taking some of that information and trying to put it into a PowerPoint. I took that advice, tried to create a PowerPoint with a walkthrough of the police department to try and educate people, and we've worked with IT to get that up and running on the department's website, along with a lot of the information that's being requested. So I'll go through here a little bit. So when you come to our website, you're going to go over to where it says departments, click on departments, go down to the police department. Wow, your mouse works. Once you get into the police department, you'll see on the left, there is now a resource for the police station proposal. If you open that up, once you get in there, you will see that there is now, the first one is a PowerPoint presentation, which I'll go through. I'll try to breeze through that a little bit. You can see the budget committee presentation that we just did on the 9th. There's also now been a Ask Here page added, so if there are questions or concerns that people couldn't make it to the open houses or for some reason have something that they would like asked and answered, they can submit that there. That'll get over to us. We'll do our best to answer any questions that we actually can answer. And then underneath that, you can see site studies and options. If you click those links, that will open up in some of the a lot of the information that has been requested. So with that, I'll start here. So I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can, because a lot of this information was presented at the last meeting with some additional information added in. So I'll skip through some of it. This is just welcoming pages. So as we spoke before, why do we need it, the safety concerns, the constraints, the restrictions, stuff that that I spoke to last time. I'll breeze through that. None of that has changed. This was the tour. So as you can see in the website, when you get in here, you can click on it. It's about a 9-minute video of Chief Jones going through the building and pointing out some of the concerns that are had at the station. Skip through that. So here is one slide that talks about some of the studies that were done. Taking over the town hall, adding to the existing town hall, a standalone building, and adding to the fire department. And as I stated before, we spoke about these and the costs associated with these, that taking over the town hall being one of the more costly options because this building wasn't built to accommodate for that. So there's a lot of extra costs that go into, plus we end up having to have a temporary site for us while things are being done. So there's the added cost there. There's moving infrastructure and all that. And then as we move forward, you can see the least expensive option that was determined was the adding to the fire station. And a lot of that comes in with the land acquisition, the site work that was already done, the preparation for what they called phase 2 at the time of the public safety complex. Moving on, these are just some of the questions that we've heard, some of the things that we talked about, where will it be located, the conceptual designs that have been done, what's it going to look like. This is the layout, the most current layout after Chief Jones and Chief Sergeant and some other people have looked at these drawings and changed some of the layout, trying to bring this cost and size down. This is just more of a conceptual view. And then here's the estimated project costs, which I believe we spoke about the last time. So this is one of the slides that I wanted to stop on, which we talked about a little bit at the budget committee meeting. As you can see here, this is current stations that are either being proposed or being worked on at the moment. And out of all of these, I mean, you can see Salem's at 38, almost 40 million, Bedford's at 34 million, Exeter's at 17 million, Atkinson's at 9.4. You can look at that and you can say, well, we don't care about Bedford, we don't care about Salem, that's a different ballpark. But the reason that they're added in there is we'll get into a couple of slides later just to show you some of the costs. But the one that is most related to us is Atkinson. So Atkinson is looking for a 12,600 square foot building, which is what was recommended for us to begin with. Atkinson has a population of about 7,800 people. The town size is about 11.5 square miles, so they're smaller than us, and their proposed building is larger than us. Now, a lot of their cost increase comes from, it is a multi-floor building. So it does have to comply with ADA, it does have to have the elevator, there's different space layouts and design problems that go along with that. But just so you can see, our project that has been looked at and studied it's been touted as a bare bones building. We're not looking for anything extraordinary, over the top, nothing, ours is coming in $3 to $4 million less than Atkinson. So as we go on, the total project cost is about $568 a square foot, and as you can see, compared to the other buildings, we're $150, $160 a square foot less.
And again, just a
That's
note,
total cost.
just a note, Salem PD, the reason that's an outlier is because they are trying to rebuild, and so they're going to have to do demolition like we would have to do if we tried to do something here.
Yeah, they're using the same site. The building is just being torn down, so they have to relocate everything for a temporary police station, build a new one.
Tear down, build up.
Tear down, build up, move back. Construction costs, so this is just construction, not total. You can see it's about $439, $440 per square foot. Everyone else is $150 ahead of, higher than what we're looking to do. I'll let the chief speak on this one a little bit. This is just total per resident.
Yeah, and again, it's not really a fair representation for a couple of reasons. One, it doesn't figure in the bonds, so obviously that number is going to go up. But also, that doesn't factor the fact that there are, a couple of golf courses in town and some large businesses. So when you look at that, it's realistically not going to be that much per resident. That was just a way to compare between the towns. But once you take out, some of the higher taxpayers, just like a person who has a $400,000 house, it's gonna cost them less than somebody who has an $800,000 house. But that's really just a way to compare apples to apples against the other projects throughout the state.
And then it's been talked about several times. This is just the building project process, the typical building project process, and how it's going. In the town administrator briefly touched on this before we came up, but we are where we feel we should be. We've done the capital needs with the study to confirm space requirements and identify potential solutions, studying the options and confirming the best solutions, developing conceptual plans and budgeting for the project. And then the next step is to pass the warrant article. So with that information is all now available. It is live, it is running. I've checked it from several computers now. It is up and working. So if people are looking for that information, it's very easy to get to just from the town's website now.
Can you go back to the options page? Thank you. So Chief Dan Jones, the primary responsibility for me and Captain Tessier are safety of our officers, safety of the public, and employees within the town. That's obviously number one, but then after that, we have compliance with laws, regulations regarding juveniles, prisoners, evidence, records, employees, et cetera. Risk assessment and mitigation for potential lawsuits, productivity and efficiency, employee job satisfaction is in conjunction with health and wellness, which affects performance and retention and recruitment. And the reason I'm saying that is, it is our responsibility to manage all of these to the extent that we have authority to do so. Beyond that, we should be informing the Board of Selectmen and the voters of anything that is a threat to any of those, as well as, like I said, anything that's out of our control. Then it's up to the board to weigh all of that out, and then ultimately the voters to weigh all of that out and decide, where should they be spending money. I think we, as a department, I know I personally and the captain personally, agree that something has to be done with GMS. And one of the things we've heard from a lot of people is, how dare the police department ask for a police department when we're waiting for a school? Again, if I am aware that there's a threat to any part of what I talked about before, it is my job to bring it to you so that you can make a decision. That is not to try to undermine the school. Again, I'm in full support of what they do. My understanding is we have probably the best relationship between the police department and the school that's been in quite some time, and we are actively working to make that better all the time. In fact, we have some programs moving forward to strengthen that relationship and provide better services to the students and the community at large with the school. So, I don't want anybody to think, oh, we're trying to get in before the school. No, we just have this information, and we feel like the board should know, you should know, and also the voters should know that, hey, this is what we need and here's why. And if the town decides that they want to put the school in and not us, fine. If they want to put us in, not the school, if they want to do neither, whatever, it is what it is, right? But I think the people should be educated, and we have that information, so we feel like we should move it forward. So a quick history this is stuff that I could find evidence of, is this building that we're in now was built in 1997. At the time, this building was not built to law enforcement standards. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. The first department where I worked was built in 1987, so 10 years sooner. That building had everything that we want here. It had proper ventilation in the evidence room, proper ventilation in the evidence storage room, proper ventilation in the evidence processing room, proper evidence in the armory, proper ventilation in the armory, in the gun cleaning area, all of those things. Right now, if we use any chemicals, which we use chemicals all the time for different things, that just gets recirculated, and I don't even know, I've never even thought about this until just now. Do we share air across the entire building?
No,
No,
No?
it's separate.
it's separate.
It is separate. Okay, so at least it's, well, not that it's great, but it's kept to our side. But
We're happy.
that should all have separate ventilation. There's no evidence pass-through for the security of the chain of evidence. There are no processing areas. There's not a functional sally port. There's not restricted movement of people through the building. And that means whether it's employees, again, because of our double usage of spaces, we can't even close down the rooms that should be closed down to the officers. And then people who we bring in the building, whether they are witnesses or suspects, none of that is right. And then the storage, or not the storage, where we keep our prisoners, that is not right. We are not in compliance with anything as far as juveniles, and we only have one adult room for adult prisoners. And I know this is a sticking point for some people, but the fitness training room, I've never worked for a police department that didn't have a fitness training room. I've worked in 9 different police stations. I can't think of any, unless it's a very old building, that didn't have one, and people think that that's a luxury, and I understand that. But we have a fitness test that we have to pass every 3 years, everybody who in the department. But we also have, we have a need for a place to train. So I don't mean like a classroom training, but physical training. If we have a fitness room, then we can set that up so that we can do physical training. We actually just changed, starting this month, changed our physical training model. So instead of doing it once or twice a year, we do it monthly. We're doing something every month to keep everybody proficient. If anybody plays golf, you don't want to practice once a year. You want to practice all the time, or shoot basketballs, or whatever you do. So that training room is important, and it's also a potential flexible space for down the road. Let's say 20 years from now, we need more space. We can change that room if that's what we have to do. It's not ideal, but at least there is some flexible space. So moving on, 1999, so 2 years later, Chief Iverson noted deficiencies in storage space, the Sally Port, and locker rooms. The 2002 Litchfield Master Plan included an addition within 5 years to the police department. In 2008, MRI conducted a study that concluded that an addition should be completed within 5 years. So that's 6 years after that was part of the master plan that wasn't done. In 2010, BCM Planning recommended a new building. The 2009 through 2014 CIP assessed the need for a new building. It was only listed as a placeholder at that time, awaiting further plans. In 2017, Warren Street completed the public safety building design, where the fire department and the police department would be one. My understanding is at some point it was decided to do the phase 1 and just do the fire department, and then do phase 2 at a later date. In 2018, there was a study by Castle Booz to look at the again, I guess, I don't
Specific
know, oh no, to
police
look at all
station.
the options, I take that back. And then that study was updated in 2020. Now, that study came back with all the documents that you saw on the website before that showed all of the different plans that are available. They talk about all the options, and it includes those 4 options. So that study was done in 2020 with all those options. Adding to the fire department was the least expensive, and it was the one that was best suited. Obviously, a standalone building, we would have had more space, but was ultimately decided that because it was least expensive and met our needs, to add to the fire department. Later in 2020, the Board of Selectmen voted 5-0-0 to spend $25,000 roughly to get plans for option 3, which is not option 3 on that list, but option 3 on that plan was to add to the fire department. So this, not this board, but the board at the time voted to spend the money for that plan, which is the plan that is before you now. One of the selectmen, and again, it was voted on 5-0-0, stated that remodeling the current station did not make sense, and phase 2 should have been done the same time as the fire department. And thank you, Chairman Leary, that was you. In 2023, $30,000 was authorized by the board to update the study. And at that point, that was done. That was just prior to my arrival in January, or in December, I believe, or right before I got here. I started in January. The 21 to 26 capital improvement plan stated that the new station, as well as GMS, was urgent with construction for the police department to begin in 2024, and the current CIP, again, says it's urgent as well with construction to start in 2025, and I realize they're only a recommending committee, but that was the recommendation. As illustrated by that history, the need for a new police station has been studied, discussed, and documented formally since 1999 with a progressive advancement to where we are today. I didn't show up here a year ago, and last week was a year, and decide that we needed a new station in a vacuum. This has been discussed, as Town Administrator Kleiner said, by 4 chiefs, plus the interim administrator, who was acting on, through MRI, who was one of the consultants who looked at this situation back in 2008, there was a need for space for a new building. Again, starting in 99, it was just a little more space, but moving forward, now it's a new building. The proposed building is in line with studies, designs, and plans consistent with the objectives of select boards going back 2.5 decades, 2 municipal consulting groups, 2 different architectural firms which specialize in public safety buildings, and a construction company which has a public safety division and built the fire department within budget. Our goal is to present the project which suits today's needs as well as avoid the mistakes made in the building of the current station. I understand that there was supposed to be a little bit bigger was built, but as I stated at the beginning, that building was not even built to standards in 1997. It wasn't even built to standards in 1987. So I want to be careful not to nickel and dime this to the point where it's going to be 3 years from then and we're going to be asking for a new building. I want to make sure we build what's in compliance with laws, best practices, protocols, the academy accreditation standards if we ever decide to go that way, and is functional for the serviceable life of the building. We look at that building and we have a need for every square inch of it now, but it's also a little bit flexible enough that 20 years from now, 30 years from now, it should still be serviceable or functional as we have it designed. Looking at the potential town growth here, we will certainly grow over the next 30 years, but it should not grow beyond the needs of that building design. But again, it's all stuff that we can use now, but there is that little bit of flexible space.
So we've already spent $35,000?
I think it's well north of that.
More, yeah, I didn't mention the cost of MRI. I didn't find it.
Yeah, the MRI was.
Yeah.
You did find it? That's what that blue thing was up there?
So we're,
The first time.
We haven't paid the 30 yet.
and Bob, were you on the board in 2020 when the original one was done?
2020, yeah.
And Kevin was on the board.
Kevin
Yeah,
was too.
we just got on board.
Again, I go back to, how do we not know this is happening? And why are we not talking about it? Because it's our job to bring this stuff forward. And I think the starting part of the chief's statement around his responsibility to his officers, the community, we have the same responsibility. These are our town employees, and the community members are our constituents. We need to make sure we have a department that is capable and ready and has all the right tools to do the job. And I struggle with, and I've only been on the board since March, this past time, but this has been a topic since I left the board, and it looks like it should have been making more progress.
We had COVID in the middle of it, and we just kept everything, and then we had,
No, it just never was a topic of discussion on the board.
But we spent $50,000 between
I
2020
can
and now.
remember Troy coming forward and asking for the money and stating what it was for, but there was never really discussions within the board.
But assuming we've spent all the money, all the things that I think Ron raised, and how the chief outlined it and the captain did, we've already done all the steps that have been brought up. The mistake we've made so far is we haven't made the public well aware of it.
Taking action.
Right. And I think,
I would agree with that.
and what my concern is, and I understand that if we bring forward a warrant based on what you see, it may fail. I hope it doesn't fail. But if we go again in the next following year, we're gonna be up against a school potentially. And we've decided last time, one of the reasons why we cut the police station out before was because the school was a need. We only could afford the fire station, we couldn't afford that and a police station and a school.
And rising costs.
And the rising costs at the time, but I feel like we've just been kicking this down the road, and we've done all the wrong things to make sure it stays in the forefront of what we need in this as a community. Our master plan stated it, everything stated it, and we've dropped the ball. So we supposed to say, let's kick that for another year, thank you, chief, for all the hard work, thank you, Kevin, for all your hard work, but we're gonna take another swing at it next year. And then we're gonna come back and go, where we're at, what's the cost, let's do the cost, let's spend $60,000, let's spend another $20,000.
Kick it down further.
Right, we're never gonna get there. And for us to continue having this dialogue that we knew nothing about it, shame. Because we did, you authorized it, Kevin authorized it.
Yeah, but there was never anything on the horizon that said this was gonna come up on a warrant.
That's
It
correct.
was,
Future
it's
that I
time to talk
remember.
about it in the
Why
CIP,
not?
but
That's-
why wasn't it
that's-
there?
It was just, like I said, it was just a
We-
blip on the.
The chief
on the-
proved that
Oh,
since
well,
1999, we've been talking about this, and it's all we've done.
I wasn't on the
We've spent
board, I
money,
was being talked to
done
about it.
designs, but we have not taken any action.
When I came, I was told that this was one of the things that we needed to work through. And so Mike French and I met, we met with Ekman, we started doing research. I am all for building committees. I think they are a huge asset. I've done 2 schools, City Hall, and a public health building. And we've always had a building committee, but not at this stage. At this stage, we've had staff, municipal people who are well-educated in contracts, bringing things forward. The chief has built a police station. So it's not that we have been operating in a vacuum. We've been doing our job to bring forward to you well-documented avenues to move forward. Then, the chief and I have already discussed who would be great, who would we recommend to you to have on this building committee as you move forward.
The fine tuning, yeah. Kim, who told you it was a priority?
So it was a discussion between the chair at the time, Mike French, and CIP. And it was one of the projects that was left from Troy. I mean, Troy was very actively involved, as was Chief Sergeant. So it was one of the things that kind of got left on their to-do list that gets passed to the next people. So that was Mike and I. Unfortunately, we lost Mike, and I basically put it aside and said, well, when Chief Jones comes,
Figure it out.
it's the first thing he's getting.
I think it highlights
Well, I know there was a
failure.
lot of conversations, but there was no updating of the boards.
No.
That I can remember.
I recall none like
And I'm
that.
sure there was a lot of, conversations over here. But again, none of it was coming to us. Just on the occasional, we need to approve this money to go do this study or.
We didn't ask for where we're at in the project or anything like that?
No, because we always thought that the CIP had their plan, but the police station was down on it a little bit because they were
What,
talking
at the
about.
top?
The police
Fire
station,
truck
Number
was-
one for.
the police station was
Yeah.
listed as 1A and 1B with
No.
GMS from
The
the
last
start.
two CIPs,
The
according,
fire, it was a fire truck and it was GMS for 1A, 1B.
No?
And then they had LMS and the police station.
So,
My conversations with CIP members.
And
That is where it
And I'm
stood.
not, I'm not blaming COVID, but we were told, just spend what you have to,
Yep.
keep the lights on.
Oh,
That
totally.
was the moral thing we were put into it. Then the ARPA fund showed up and it was the fire truck,
So
right?
the
So,
first year
and then
that I was
SIP
there-
fell down for a couple of years, and by the time we got it going again, is when we started to see this bubbling up again.
I don't think there's any issue with the COVID era, because we picked it back up in 2023 and authorized a large spend to get it started, and then we spent again in 2024. I mean, and, the times when my thing's not up here right now, but in 2020, we already authorized it, COVID came around, great. We picked it back up in 2023. Why did we drop the ball? Because you guys, the board at that time deemed it a priority. That's why we were spending, who spends 30, whatever the number, 30K, 25K on a whim? We don't do that.
So we had the old numbers, you went out and got the
Yeah.
numbers up, we paid to get the numbers updated.
Yep.
Because it
Right.
was so
There's-
old, we had to go do that.
Yes.
And it's taken us a year to do it. It was when you first got back, I believe, and so it took us all 2024. You presented it to the CIP as you were instructed to, because I was told the same thing, that everything goes to CIP, it doesn't come to the Board of Selectmen until it goes to CIP and they get the blessing that it's something they want to push forward. By the way, I don't think we should do that going forward. I think we need to be actively involved in these projects. These big projects, we're the folks here that have it. We should have been more actively involved with it, and quite frankly, I don't think it should go to CIP. They set the impact fees for some of that stuff, that's great, but it should be presented to us long before it goes to CIP.
Or if it
Do
goes
we
to
even
Sid,
agree it's a
it
project
should be
we think
nothing
is
more than a
priority?
recommendation.
That's all it is.
But the department had spent a significant amount of time presenting to CIP, not presenting to us. And I don't think that's the right way to do it. We're the ones ultimately responsible. The CIP is appointed by us, but it's us, we're the ones that are responsible.
So again, I'm gonna go back to a conversation that I brought up. We need a strategic plan. We need to know where we are, where we're going, and why. And so, I mean, when I came, and granted, my first day here, I was told, oh, there's a budget committee meeting tonight, good luck.
During budget.
You know, my first day. Yeah, during the budget. And then I was told, you know, a month later, we need to increase the cap, and by the way, work on that. Oh, we need a fire truck, and we have to spend this ARPA money, so, you know, work on that. It's been this constant whirlwind where we need to, whoa,
Yeah.
stop.
Prioritize.
Where are we going, and how are we gonna get there, so that we don't have you feeling like this, and this really bothers me, but you had such a whirlwind of change within the town and within staff that Chief Jones and I and Captain Tessier, we're just doing our best to pick up the balls and move them forward.
I appreciate you trying to take the blame off of us, but the blame sits here. We're the ones that define the direction. We're the ones that define what you need to be doing and what your priorities are. And if we haven't been doing that, then that's shame on us. And this whole thing that Ron has raised, everything that we've heard, that's our fault. It's our fault. And I mean, I wasn't here during the beginning of it, but it's our fault now. Right?
I'm not gonna own that. I'm not owning that. This has been since 1999.
Well-
A generation has gone through this. We have faced everything in front of us very well. This now became a priority. We had so many priorities. So no. We all did
But
our
I-
roles. You can believe what you want, that's fine. I do not.
Well, I say the Board of Selectmen. I'm not saying you individually.
And
or
I
me
think what you just said, I'm thinking along your lines, Kim. The thing we still need, the thing is still needed, is how we get there has changed. That's your strategic plan. We're thinking the same. So we need new thinking. I think the fire department was funded a different way. The police department, we have a proven track record that it works. Things have changed. It's not a school that's 10 times the amount of money and has all these people going in. It's a safety issue. The only concern I had was that one report you attached, I've seen them at the planning board before, it went out to 2030 on the population, but I do think it's in line. It went up, we were 8,500, it expected over 11,000. Looking at the planning board, you had the 172 units go up. Talarico's going up. We have prefab buildings on 3A going up. We have 3 in front of Spooky World, and I think there's some industrial going up. So I think it supports it, is what I'm saying, for you. I was concerned about that. So I think we're ready. I know the funding, and I know Ron, engineering, I get it. You know, we have an input process output, and I think, I'm so grateful that you brought that up. But I think right now, I think we have a proven track record with the way the fire station worked.
Yep.
We just have to think differently today, I think, in this situation. My biggest fear is somebody gets into that police station, You're bringing in somebody who's dangerous. You don't have a prison that's adequate, I don't think. And if something goes wrong with a firearm, I don't want to be responsible for that.
Yep.
So I'd like
That's where I
to,
stand.
I'd like to end with our presentation, and I would like to thank everyone who actually did come out for the open house, because the best we can do is help to just educate why it's a need. And I'd like to also extend, if you couldn't make it for any reason, we'll leave it out there like we have before. Give us a call. We're happy to have you come on down and take a tour. And you know, Mr. Oblinus has come down
Yep,
twice.
He was,
And we actually thank him for coming down and taking a tour and seeing
yeah, he reached
the
out to
the
you too,
challenges
and
that we're
you
faced
invited him
with.
in and showed him what you're dealing with.
He brings up a good point, though. The contingency money, maybe 10%'s not
It's way
enough.
It's way off.
It should be.
Yeah,
Realistic.
That's been off for a long time.
And I see these bond numbers, different scenarios.
And we hear it on school facilities, you know, they talk about what we're gonna do with Griffin and whatnot, and everyone's saying you gotta carry 20%, at least.
There was discussion at this point in design,
Mhm.
carry somewhere around 30 to 60%. That's why I recommend at this point, carry 30.
It's a change in the market.
I don't want to go back and forth, but I think one of the unknowns typically in a building like this is the site. And where the site work is already done,
Site.
you have a huge variable taken out, plus the fact that they built, Ekman built, and I'm not saying they're going to build the future building, but they built that building, so they know what that cost to build that, and it's a very similar building. It's gonna be a continuation of that building, which is how they were able to come up with a number. They just adjusted the cost, for what the costs are now versus then, or, a year from now versus what they project a year from now versus
The
then.
site work is, a
And
lot of
then-
site work's been done.
And then also, we have some needs that the fire department didn't have. They had needs that we don't have, but we have a lot of, secure areas that we have to worry about and things like that. But, Ekman does this for a living, and that's how they came to that number.
Well, that was gonna be my next question, was, on your last slide, number 6, work with architect and construction manager. We haven't selected either yet, correct?
Right.
Okay. And that's gonna be,
That'll be part of the process.
yeah,
Process.
and qualification-based process.
Yep.
Correct.
And we will open bid, it will be open bid, okay.
Correct.
Because that's important. And I remember conversations with the former superintendent about the project going on at the school and asking him those same questions, and he said, no, we had phone calls with some people, we picked an architect, and then from there, we chose a construction manager. Which is absolutely backwards. You don't do that. You don't do that. You had no idea what your project was before you hired these people.
Then in reverse.
The only thing I would say about that is, and I don't disagree with you, we have a history with someone we've already worked with and knows the facility, knows it, and we had a great outcome. I personally was in that building on a daily basis, because I did a lot of the internal stuff. I worked with their people. I think that from a criteria, our experience is giving us a positive. I'm not saying we don't go through that process, but I'm just saying that's why we're relying on them, or they're helping us, because we have a relationship. Doesn't mean anything, it's just a relationship. And I get tired of this comparative to the school. The town has a history of not doing what the school did. The fire department was a very great success on budget, and we got a lot more for our bang. I expect the same thing happening. And I think it's a priority. I don't think we gotta let it slip. It can't, in my opinion, it shouldn't slip. We just gotta do a better job selling it to the community if we're trying to get it passed this year. Because I do fear if we go to 2025, it's not gonna pass anyway, just because it'll be up against the school. And that's what it seems like it's gonna
I think-
happen. And Ron may have a better idea where it's going, but it sounds like that's where it's going.
In 2023, when the Board of Selectmen approved the $30,000 to update the study, to me, that was an indication that this is gonna kick off again.
Yeah.
I've never done this, so I didn't know what to
That was
expect.
my indication
but
too.
I expected something to come forward to us. I don't do engineering, I do
This
IT,
is
so I
what's
don't know the
happening.
process. But I anticipated it coming forward. I did not expect it last year because I know they were chasing a school.
Exactly.
And we're not really too involved with the school part of it, so we don't know what's going on. We just know it's gonna be a large amount of money and it's gonna impact the residents.
And we're always considerate what goes on with the residents. We don't wanna see the impact hit them double.
But I also agree, we need a GMS,
Yeah.
but we also need a police station.
We need GMS when I
Well,
moved to
no,
town in
and actually, there's
1997.
two studies that says GMS is in decent condition.
Correct.
It needs work.
Yeah.
It needs work.
That's what it
There's
needs.
two studies, H.L. Turner and the on-site insight, which was just done. And if you watch any of the school facilities meetings, it's gone through all that. So I really think that's where we're gonna end up with facilities, is recommending renovations.
So
I
how about,
concur.
in the meantime, let's build a police station so that these people are safe.
Well, we're not saying that's not the case, but there is some things to fix here, and I think that contingency fund is the big one.
May I just address another point that was brought up at the budget committee? So I was a little taken back when you proposed a new fire station. There was questions on what would happen with the old fire station. And there was a warrant article. You keep it for storage,
Or you can, yeah, condemn it.
or you get rid of it. So, how many times over the past 3 years, Steve, have we talked about what's going to happen in that old fire station building?
What's its purpose?
Right, it's still happening. So, I mean, I think now we're at a good point. But my point is, I was told there was this decisions that, and proposals that were made with the old fire station. There wasn't. There was a warrant article, get rid of it or keep it.
It was to keep
And
it.
it was pretty cut
And
and
that was
dry.
it.
Yeah.
So, but I understand, and I understand the concern on what's gonna happen within a half of a building. So, I met and I spoke with Ekman today. I've been working with the staff on the current, plans of town hall. The last thing I wanna do is look at raising costs if you have a police station being built and potentially a school needing renovations or whatever it needs. And I know that we can utilize this half of the building successfully, and Ekman agrees, without tearing down walls and without major renovations. So, maybe not many people know this, but records that need to be kept under lock and key in the city of Nashua are in the old police cells in the bottom of City Hall. They didn't rip them out, just kept.
That's what I always visit, we do that.
That's right. It's a perfect use. You don't have to rip out the cell.
Nope.
You don't have to rip out the Sally port. We have equipment that we can't even keep in the building. The janitor's keeping it in his car because we don't have enough room for floor waxing machines and things of that sort. Can you go in the Sally port? You can utilize that. So there are ways to utilize that space. Am I saying forever? No. I think ultimately what you're gonna need to do is somehow make both of these windows town hall. Town clerk. You're gonna need vital records, tax collector on one side, and motor vehicles on the other. Because that's what creates the problem, is when you are talking vital records, you should be able to talk to someone without sitting right next to a person who's processing their car. It's confidential, right? So that, how we're gonna link those later on down the road would be a conversation, and that would create costs.
I would
But-
agree with you. I don't think what happens with this building right now should be contingent, because we have plenty of options. People throughout the SAU, future growth for here, right now, just storage. So it will be utilized. We just don't know what the options are just yet. or
So I
selecting
do
an
have
option.
them drawing up a plan based on what I've talked to staff about. And hopefully we have that tomorrow, or
Who's drawing up the
Wednesday.
plan?
Huh, I'm sorry?
Who's drawing up a plan?
So Ekman has the software to do it. I don't have the software. I used to. So we laid it all out and they're just putting it into their software for us.
Because I worry about all the quote-unquote favors that are being done. We talked about this with the with the school side, with their architect coming in and doing presentations and offering to help with CIP or whatever, and as he stated, was in hopes of getting the future work. So I just hope this isn't kind of falling in that same line, because I didn't agree with that, and I know Mr. Oblinus didn't.
I agree with
Somebody's doing something in hopes of getting the work. It's still gotta be a,
We paid him $30,000, so I'll just call it part of the $30,000 fee.
I think,
it's gotta be clean, no matter what.
And they
Ron
say-
brings up a good point. The public's gonna ask, what are we gonna do with that side of the building? We need to have an answer. We don't have a dollar figure, but we have to tell them it's coming, whatever comes up.
But I don't think you have costs right off
No,
the
we don't
bat.
have
I
costs,
think
but it's
it can
going to
be
be one later.
Utilized.
I mean, I think
As
it's
long as we're
simply,
honest with the public that it's
I think
coming.
it's simply stated that
Yes.
the PD side will be utilized by the town, period. Initially for storage and expansion, of storage locations and maybe a meeting space. Right? I mean, you can open the area up there and create a meeting space to play out of there for now and use the rest for storage.
I'd like to have a space where if a conservation member, our boards and our commissions, if they want to come in and work on something, or we need to meet and have discussions, that we have that availability, and we don't currently, right? They're all working from their home.
We had it here at one
PCs.
time,
Yeah.
okay? When they designed this building, the space where you are was a meeting area.
It was a selectmen's meeting room, I thought.
Yeah, okay, it was a meeting area that was, it's just that we've grown out of it over a period of time, that's the bottom line.
We grew out of it when I got here in 2010, it was already out, not being used anymore. So,
Yeah, when I got the plan, the layout, I was like, well, that's not like that anymore, and that's not like that. So there's already been a lot of change.
A lot of things have been made, one of those record storage has been a main concern here. Okay, as you see with the planning board used to meet in that back room there at one time.
Right, now you
Just
can't.
can't do
just
it.
taking the planning room and moving it on that side into the sergeant space would be helpful.
Oh, yeah.
Just using this area right here as another space where moving maybe the finance department over there separately, right? And wouldn't cost a lot to do that kind of stuff to begin with. And I think those are the things we need to think about. I think it's fair to just say, just like with the fire station, we're gonna tear it down or turn it into cold storage. And the reality of the cold storage story was, it was supposed to be cages put up in there. We never allocated money for that because no one ever wanted to spend the money, because we can all play nice, right?
It's either new police station, new town hall, that's where it's going,
Yeah.
right? Or up.
Well,
I
and
think the townhouse fine.
yeah, I think the problem with town hall would be cheaper to build potentially, but then the renovation of this would be
Minimal.
Exactly, it's
no,
just,
for a police station, to modernize this for a
You
police
still-
station.
Yeah, again, that's the study showed that this would be the most expensive way to go.
And we paid money for those studies, so we have to trust they are the ones that are the experts, we're not. Right? And adding $1.2 million to the bond to bring the 20%, bring the additional 20%, it's a lot of money to put in there. Knowing we already own the land, knowing we already did all the site work.
Well, you have 10% in there, so if you had 10%, that's not,
No, I was going 30, so I did a 20% calculation on the number. So, if we say 10%, okay, we're talking about 600,000. 600,000? So, I don't know, can we take unassigned fund balance and create a warrant to do a secondary contingency for unassigned, and we're not gonna spend unless we need it? And add it to the bond?
Good, but I mean,
Because if you don't spend it,
It just drops back into the
It's
fund
the-
balance.
it's there. I mean, there's nothing that says that you have to do that now. And I think one of the changes that we made to the warrant article
We can use all
is
fund.
basically saying, is giving you the option to use other types of funding to help with the cost.
So the costs don't increase or
Right.
or may potentially go down, but don't increase beyond the $6 million we put in there. That's fine. I mean, we need the public on our side.
Yeah.
We need Ron on our side.
I don't think Ron's
I don't think he's not on our side, I'm just.
He sees flaws and,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say he doesn't know what he's talking about, because I
Can't
think he
challenge
does.
No one,
Challenge
no
an
one, no one,
intelligent man.
I certainly appreciate him raising it, because it opened up a whole lot of dialogue that we
does.
weren't aware of. I think all the questions he brought up, based on what we presented as the facts of where we are in the project, a lot of this stuff feels like it's already there, other than maybe being on the contingency, which he believes should be a lot higher. I just worry, like I said, I worry about pushing it off and not doing it this year, and Kim, like I said earlier, I just feel the board, not this current board, all boards in the past, we just let the ball drop.
Yeah, 1999, it's a long time.
Yeah. And when we did the fire station, I took a lot of heat when we decided to break it into two phases, because the need was there, we just couldn't afford it. And we had a dire need at the fire station to get them out of that little station, because we couldn't buy trucks, couldn't fit things in there. It was falling apart around them in some regards, and we did that, we made a decision based on what we thought was the immediate need, telling the police department at the time, don't worry, Chief O'Brien, you're going to get your police station down the road, we gotta get this thing done first. Well, here we are,
Still doing it.
and we're still a lot further along than we should have done it in 2020, but.
That wasn't.
I'd love to see a work session, just not a meeting, just a work session where we sit and we talk about what you think the major priorities are going forward, right? Because we've had a whirlwind of big projects in the past 2 years. I shake my head. I can't even believe it's only been 2 years, right? And now we've put some major projects on our horizon, the eminent domain, right? If we go down that road, that's a huge project. I'm hearing now that there's probably going to be an energy proposal come through to start the community power. We've done some incredible work, but I think we need to lay out
Okay.
what's your priorities.
Okay.
And that's beyond this, it's
Yeah.
going forward, I agree.
Okay. So,
Get it on the warrant.
yeah, but I do think that we need to have at least 20% in there. I would like it to read that, so that we know that we're at least covered. I know it's not as much as 30%, but I think 20% is doable.
So how does that work with
And if
bond? You just request more, but it's kind of like it's like a loan. If you don't spend it, you don't.
You don't use it, it goes back.
It goes back.
I thought they deposited the whole money into us. Yeah,
I thought if you didn't use it, it went back.
I mean,
you pay
you
it back.
use it to pay down the
Yeah,
bond.
yeah,
You don't, it's not,
70
I
cents a
mean,
mile.
Oh, so the
Pay it
bond's the
down.
total amount, and then you can put back to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it drops down. It has to drop down.
But it's not like a construction loan where you can spend up to, and if you come below, you just don't use it.
Do we have an updated interest
not unless you
rate yet?
work it, like the school was going to sell in increments. And so,
I wouldn't recommend that.
then you could not bond your final, payment but I think that creates a lot of uncertainty in the interest rate and with the taxpayers on how much, and with cash flow.
Now, this bond is figured at what, 3.9?
So,
Have we updated that? Because I know interest rates have been coming down, and there's word that they might come down some more.
so on the proposals that, you were given, it's
3.46.
3.46.
3.46?
And these are on the Selectmen's portal.
Okay.
I got them here.
So there's really 8 different options, right? 15, 20, 25, 30.
Yep.
All level principal, or 15, 20, 25, 30 level interest.
But do we know that the
3.95.
3.4, is that the rate? that
We do
it's going
not
to be?
know that. You will not know that until you sell the bond.
Okay. But
and
that's
there's
the number we're
different
using.
Interest rates
Yep.
for different options, like.
Correct. And they,
It would be.
you're showing that in here too, I can see
Right.
that.
So each, what I did this weekend was put together, some sample costs, and now that's out here. If people wanted to look and see. Now, I have hesitation whenever we do things like this, because someone who has a house that's 350,000 looks and says, "Oh, they go with a 15-year level debt. It's only going to cost me 158.33." I just received, and I haven't brought it to you yet because I want to look at the details. Your equalization, your ratio. So we are a little over 70. What do you think? 64.8% of market value. I haven't seen anything that low in a long time. If we didn't have a reval in 2025, I'm pretty sure the DRA would be insisting.
Yeah.
So I don't want someone to look at this and say, "Oh, it's only going to be $158 on top of my taxes," when their assessment could, shoot up to $455 very easily. So that's my only concern, is you need to take this, you need to understand this is also built on the total valuation of the town, with the revaluation, the total valuation's going to go up. So, I mean, these are gonna fluctuate.
Yep.
And this is really not the time. Good thing is, you have, two major projects that are gonna add a lot of valuation to the town. That helps lower this number,
There's 3 projects
your
that's gonna do that before.
so. But it's out there. You can look. At the end, you can see what, if everything remained constant, which it will not. Can't. How much will I have paid for that police station, in my tax bill for a $350,000 house? But
For the bond hearing tomorrow, do we have to decide on the terms?
I think you should have a recommendation. The fire station's at 30.
Fire station's at 30?
30.
Yeah. Remember, at the time we did it, we were worried about the impact, and they felt it was better to stretch the payment than it was to pay it off quicker, which is always a challenge.
One side doesn't correct the other side, that's all.
It's,
What are we into the 5 years now?
It's
So we
on
still
the
have
board,
25
but
left?
it's sent to Kim.
but you have
This
the
is her analysis.
radio tower that's coming off.
That's $175,000 to the bucket. Hold on to that, I got an idea for next year.
Take this out of John's budget.
Whatever happens, don't tag this project on me, because I take the tower in my head every time I talk to the budget committee. It's a public safety system is what it was.
In the old days, we used to use phones, nobody can use them.
I think there's some pretty big fluctuations. I hate seeing things like your funding, call it 6, and you're gonna pay back 10.
Right.
I hate seeing things like that.
Yeah. See, I know how I'd go. I'd go 15 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm maxed.
I think I would do 15 level, but level principal though,
Level principal.
yeah. I mean,
More than
the difference is a couple bucks, it's not.
Yeah.
It'll be paid off before the fire station.
Exactly.
It'll be paid off before the fire station.
Yeah, that's another,
Yeah, because at 15 years, it's 1.8 in interest.
Yeah, we
And-
talked 53 cents, to 45 cents.
But if you go to 20 years, then it's 2.6 in interest. And 30's even further, right? No, 25 first. 3.5, so that's more than half your project is interest.
I,
That's why I think 15, that's why I said think 15 is probably the
15
better
level
path.
principal.
Yeah, and 30 years is 75%.
And we could pay it off early if we could.
Yes, yes.
I mean, I'm always a proponent of taking the shortest path.
I
agree.
agree with you, Bob.
Kim, I haven't heard you say much.
No, I'm 15, I think is good, because we
Yep.
have a school payment maybe, potentially.
People
or
don't realize, like,
roofs on schools that are due.
they hear $5 million, but over 15 years, for a $350,000 house, your first year will be, your tax bill will go up $158. For $500,000, what is it, 226?
226, yeah, and the level debt.
And that's for 15 years. It's not, no one likes their taxes to go up, but that's not that bad.
And
That's-
so
you
it's
go out
going up,
To eat twice a week, and you probably spent that at Romano's this week.
right, it's going up that amount your first
Their
year,
pizza was awesome the other night.
but in every subsequent year, it's
Yeah.
already built into that
Yeah.
tax.
It's
It's
there.
probably your taxes are going up, but it's not this
Right.
that's driving it after
Right.
that.
And I think back to when Campbell was proposed, and that was done on 15 years because they wanted to get it done as quickly as possible. Payments were higher, but I think it was 500,000 a year or something like that, or 600,000 a year we had to pay. But you got it paid off sooner, you saved a lot of money in interest.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a market difference here.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know, and we did the same thing, Kevin, you'll remember this, and John, you will too, because you were sitting out there when we did the communication tower, we had all these different scenarios. How many years?
Yep.
And the interest that we would do, we did the same thing.
We brought it low.
And we paid a little more, but we got it done in less term.
We pay less in the long run.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
I think it's a smart thing to do.
So something else can come and fill its space.
So is this, do we have this up on the website so people can see it?
And right now, it's on your portal. I can
Is-
move it to,
Because that's the question
We can
I
move
get
it
from
to
a
their
lot of
page?
people.
or John can
I
move
can
it
put a link to it. Is it on the,
Yeah.
is it on the drive somewhere then?
And,
It is.
I'll
It
just
is.
link the drive
and
to
are
it.
we looking at level debt or are we looking at level principal?
I would say level principal.
And that's
Where-
a
where
higher
does it say
tax
that?
impact.
So the first four are level debt, and then you look at 15-year
Yeah.
level principal.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 15.
What's the difference in the two?
So, in total,
No, I mean, what's the difference in, between a level debt and a level principal? I'm not a banker,
oh, so,
You save money on level principal.
right. So,
but it's a
Level
higher
debt,
tax pact.
you're
Impact.
just basically paying the same amount of debt off the
Mm-hmm.
bond each year.
So it's,
Or level principal,
so
you're
you're taking
cutting
it over
that.
15 years, dividing it.
Right,
and
you're
that's-
cutting that
payments.
principal payment down.
It's 7 million,
Significantly.
yeah, for 15 years level principal, it's $7,707,000 versus level debt is $7,841,000, 940 cents.
So it's more money for level debt.
It's, right, cause, right,
Right, you're paying
they're not getting their
less
principal back
overall.
fast enough.
You're not
Yeah.
getting as much interest because you're always paying the principal down.
So what's everyone think?
15 year.
But which one? Level debt or level principal?
What is it, $100,000 difference? Was it 100,000?
104, call it 140, yeah.
140,000 mean a lot to some people on the
Yes, it
budget
does.
committee. I'll just say that.
You're saying the debt one is the way to go?
I think principal, but
apply to principal? Is that what you're trying to do?
I think you wanna pay the level principal.
Okay.
I mean, the difference in the two is, in your tax impact is what? One's 43, one's 52,
53, I think,
Get
the first year.
so it's 10 cents more per
Yeah,
45 and
9 cents.
53.
8 cents.
So,
Roughly 30, call it 28 bucks. 30 bucks.
It's not much, though.
so if you have a $500,000 house, because that's what everyone uses, is that $226?
Yes.
Okay,
So
'cause I
here's
couldn't
your
see that part.
assessment.
All right, so it'd be $226 per year on a $500,000 house.
For the first year, then it goes down.
And for a 15-year level would be 100, I can't see that over there, 186 or 196?
186.
180, so it's basically $30 more
Yeah, about
for
30,
principal.
28.
But they cross each other.
Yeah.
They cross each other in the middle.
Go up and down.
So every year,
You get to about year 8 then?
right, it'll cross and then,
Yeah, it's 2032, I think, 31, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
2032. It
And
becomes,
33, it's the same too.
Yeah.
And 34, it goes up, okay.
but then your tax impact in the bottom half of level principal is less than your first half.
Yeah.
Because you've paid down that principal, there's not as much
Okay.
interest. That's
But
how you
keeps your
save,
tax-
that's how you save.
keeps your
Yeah.
taxes steady, right?
Yes.
Because your taxes going down as your other taxes may potentially be going up.
Making a mortgage payment with interest or making a car payment where it's state, set amount.
Choices. Damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
So year 2, it's 53 cents on
Year two,
So-
$1,000 home? Well, no,
40.
I'm sorry,
So-
45 cents, 45 cents.
Yeah, it's
It's
45 cents.
53 on the principal one.
Yeah.
Right. Cause you,
53 in the principal, you said? And it's 45 on the,
First year, yeah.
on the level debt.
43 to 40 goes up.
okay.
Cause you're paying roughly $100,000 more
Mm.
on the level
Not a
principal.
lot, but it's in between.
I'd rather save it. Just me. Since we never closed public input, Mr. Oblinus, do you have anything else to add? Sure. You can sit next to each other.
You stick there, chief.
Maybe you might have an answer.
I won't hit you, you probably won't hit neither.
You gotta watch the one sitting over here. He'll hit you.
That's why I'm over here holding back.
He usually
Hasn't
carries a
changed
crowbar.
much.
I'm fully in agreement with the need to go forward. And, you know, like I said, if you put a decent contingency in there, move forward and see what the voters say. I do, though, strongly encourage you to put money in there to renovate this building. You need to put something in there, because between you and the fence post, yeah, you could use it, but it's a mess, in the sense of looking at it from the future of the town. It's not, yeah, you can go in and store stuff in the locker rooms and the shower and the cells and all that, with the toilets in it and all that, but is that what you want this building to look like for the next 30 years? No.
No.
So,
And my thought to that was, and we were just discussing this a few minutes ago about something completely different, was when we get an idea of what it's gonna take to bring that up to what we want, and whether it's, whatever the number is, if we have money in the unassigned fund balance and we're healthy, we could use that and not burden the taxpayers.
But you don't know.
We don't know, and we won't know until somebody goes through and looks at it, and we find out from everybody over here what they're looking for.
But that should be part of the, you're gonna go start engineering this thing, you're gonna select somebody. They should be engineering the total solution. That's what should be engineered here. If you're gonna do this, let's do it right and not bake it into pieces. Because quite truthfully, I mean, that's one of the things people get tired of is, okay, you hit me up this year, oh, you're gonna come back next year? What's the next thing you're gonna, think this thing through. And that's the problem with, you mentioned the school side. I don't wanna get into a long debate about that, but you're entirely correct. The other side of it is, I'm perplexed as to, I'll say it again, if you go to the estimate for this, there's like 6 or 7 lines of estimate. Where did those numbers come from? What's the buildup of those numbers?
Who did the numbers for the estimate for the building?
They're going to the presentation.
Was that Ekman's numbers?
It's the other documents,
Yep.
I'm not 100%, that was before our time, I don't know.
Kessel Boo.
It was probably Castle.
It was Kessel Boo, because that was part of their scope.
Which was done when?
And so,
29.
done in 2016, and then
And then
updated
updated.
by Ekman
Yeah, and back,
for
That's a for instance.
escalation.
back in 2020, it was $8 million was the project to be attached to the fire
Right.
station.
And it was $600,000 worth of engineering, and now it's 3. How did that happen? Is that Boston firm's gonna reduce their price between then and now? I don't think so.
Well, Castle Blue updated the
Castle Blue,
cost again, right? Didn't they give us the cost when we put in the proposal? Isn't that cost from them? Or is that from Ekman's, that's Ekman's estimates?
See?
Yeah.
This is the problem. This has not been thought through, it's not been fully vetted. An estimate like that is totally inadequate. I could shoot a whole bunch of, we can talk about the next hour and a half about things that are wrong with that estimate, only on the basis of you don't have backup to justify it. The numbers may be exactly spot on. The problem is you don't know. You don't know where they're going to go.
So if we add the contingency and we get that covered.
I say, I truly think you need a total of 30. Because you don't have an estimate, and if you go out and hire another engineering firm, and say, okay, let's get somebody local, so I don't have to pay, quite truthfully, if you have a meeting with the project manager and he brings up the design person, it's $2,000 to come out of Boston for a meeting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I'm not wrong, am I?
No.
So, why do we, they're clearly one of the premier designers of this stuff, but that's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for, platinum, when, kind of maybe silver or copper will do. So, when you go and select an engineering firm, they're gonna give their own numbers, and it's gonna be a lot more than $300,000, I can tell you that. So that's low right off the bat. And my other question is, who's gonna manage this? If you say the police chief, that is a wrong answer.
Concur.
Correct? Am I correct,
You're
Kevin?
right, you need to have a construction manager.
Isn't there something
We had
built
a
in for construction
We had a
manager?
construction manager before, and obviously the fire chief was actively involved, and some of their other folks involved.
But Ekman was the manager, right?
We had a construction manager on
But there
site.
needs to be, no, you need an owner's representative from the town. The contractor's there not to protect the town. The contractor's there to protect his bottom line and try to deliver it for his contract. This is what happened with LMS. That's one of the big reasons LMS has run over 100%. No one there was watching and they awarded, there was contracts awarded there was no money for, or there was way under budget. You need somebody that is there to look from the town's perspective,
Be a clerk
to
of
be
the
a
works.
resident engineer, owner's rep. That's not in that budget.
Every project that I've
So-
developed has been a clerk of works.
So,
Clerk of the works, that's the other word for it.
I don't know, I mean, in the city, I'll tell you that it was myself, the economic development director, and our architect, right? So the three of us. And then we had a committee that worked with, us on different things, you know, whether it was the IT director who worked on IT and things of that sort.
But the city was paying for those.
What about our town engineer?
But-
Is he qualified?
We were given
thought he
X
only did
amount,
roads.
we were given X amount of
Okay.
money,
Okay,
and we came in
okay, you give it a budget,
Within-
okay.
those figures.
What
You
about,
went and you told
It's
them
different,
that
Ken.
you were bonding X for a project, that's what you came in
And
at.
that's what LMS did. We authorized $5 million. First thing that happened, they awarded a contract to a contractor for 5.9.
No, we came in at those
I'm just
numbers
telling
with a
you.
completed
I understand.
project that was.
I just understand, but a clerk of the works is a resident engineer or owner's representative, whatever you want to call it, is the right thing to add. And it's not a huge amount of money. It's
Not
a
big
couple
money.
$100,000.
Yep,
But
couple
it's
thousand.
not in there. It's, things like that are not in there.
It's about Lou Karen, is he?
Lou is structural regarding
no.
site subdivision engineering like
Right,
that.
yes.
I'm not familiar with Lou being involved with buildings per se. I would have to find that out.
The other thing, where's the estimate for the IT work? All the,
I submitted back in July a detailed list.
okay, does that include all the communication equipment?
That was part of it, yes.
Part of it was,
Which part are you looking for?
That was part of the whole scope. he
That's part of
submitted.
my scope, yes.
okay, but where is the, does that include all the radio equipment and dispatcher equipment?
It does, yes.
Okay, where's the detail for that? If, I assume it's probably multi-lines long, right?
It is.
Okay, that's what I'm asking for. How has this estimate been built up? That should be what you're presenting, or at least say, oh, here it is, and it should be, in that website. All I'm asking for is how did you get to the 6 lines of estimate? And if you look at most of them, there's 3, 4, 5, 6 different categories within a line. And each one of those should have separate estimates for each one of those items.
In other words, this.
And this is what, if you had an engineer specifically on board, this is what he'd be doing for you. An engineer's estimate is prepared by the engineer to submit to the owner, saying, this is our current estimate with the contingency we think at this point for the whole project, start to finish. And where you don't have an engineer on board now, that is
You will need.
suspect at best, right, Kevin?
Yep.
Well, I don't think we had an engineer in the fire department either at this time.
No.
So, again, I think we're
I
following
saw
the
that.
process we did with the fire department, which worked out well for us, and
Mr. Chairman, was there, what you're talking about, an owner's rep for the fire department?
It was the fire chief and the architect, Warren.
yeah.
I'm just asking because when I joined in the process when I was chief in Gorham, basically right when it got funded. So, but I sat in there and we would meet weekly with the builder, the town administrator, or town manager there, me, the public works director, somebody from code enforcement, and we would go through everything week by week.
And that's how the fire department went too. So, we used the on-site to be honest, the day-to-day stuff, but we were there, they would check in, we had regular check-ins, regular meetings, status.
Was the engineer part of that discussion? Engineering firm?
Yeah, the architect was part of it, because we made some changes at some point in time too.
So the point being is, in that estimate, I doubt if there's what's called construction phase services. And that's their participation during construction.
It's got architecture and engineering fees,
It's just a big blank. I don't know what it is. It's 300 and,
310,000.
Yeah, it's one lump sum versus what's.
yeah, so what's the breakdown? like I said, if you look at the 8 million estimate that's in there, that was 600 and some thousand. Certainly not proportional. Just as a comparison.
During the construction part of it, what you're looking for is a breakdown of who's gonna be checking the job, make sure it's right. And that's what the clerk does. Inside too, your engineer or your architect will be part of the meetings.
Yeah.
If there's any concern. So you have your job site meetings, which are once a week.
Yeah.
Or more, it depends on the phasing of it,
Correct.
okay? And you got everything in place. As for the logistics of the police department, the police operation chief, it's not really the construction side of it. He just deals with the layouts. As for the layout of the building itself, that's when your architect, who's gonna be responsible still from the beginning for us, to ensure that's there. And his engineers, that is part of the outfit, are gonna be part of it. As for the clerk of the works, his scope of the work is to oversee what's going on to make sure it's in compliance. In other words, it's helping the architect and the engineer to make sure that the people, the site guys or the engineers, the people are doing it.
Make sure the specs are followed.
Correct, okay? And that's how it works. Now, I've been involved with a few of them as a municipal over the years in other towns with big projects as part of the on-site going through it each meeting and everything else. But like the town hall, police station, or wherever it was at the time, some of the school stuff too. And, yeah, it takes up time, but that's part of it, but it's an oversight. It's like the building inspector, sometimes has been told that he's the clerk of the works. In some cases, I ran across that to ensure that it's being done. So he's being paid, but he's still gotta be on this job more. So there's different, how you wanna allocate what.
I mean, I'm sure if we have a building inspector that's qualified at that point, we could leverage his experience, their experience.
Yeah, I had
If
always
they're
had
that.
my building inspector.
Yep.
Well, 30% is $1.8 million. Right? Is that what you wanted, 30%?
Well,
Remember, that's split,
That's raised.
that's split between the town and the contractor.
Yep.
And what I expect you're going to do is you're gonna go through and engineer this. You're gonna select a construction manager. Construction manager will work with the engineer to develop a guaranteed maximum price based upon their sub-consultant. They'll present that to the town. Now, the contingency, there's two sides of that. The contractor needs to have contingency so he can stay within his guaranteed maximum price. The town needs to have part of that same contingency in case something happens. The contractor comes in and says, my guaranteed maximum price would have been this, but something unexpected happened.
What caused it? Yeah.
Something unexpected. It always happens. I don't care, how good it is. I expect it to be minimal, given that we have the site somewhat prepared and it's, it's not a,
It's an easy site.
huh?
It's an easy site.
it's all sand.
Relatively speaking, yes, but things happen.
I know.
And that's where you need the contingency on the town side. The interesting thing is, going back, if you don't use that amount, you get back what you don't use. But you don't have to come back to the taxpayers for a special meeting saying, oh, you want to have a meeting like the school department had? Anybody want to be sitting in the middle of that?
There.
Yeah, I know you are. No, I don't. It's because they simply didn't do it correctly.
So I
I'm not
think,
trying,
I think we gotta move on, I guess, in some respects. I mean, does it make sense to add $1 million to the bond total and say that's our, because it's 1.2 to add the additional 20? There's already 10 in there, and I'm saying, right, so,
I mean, you can pick whatever, but
you know, just add another $1 million, make it $7 million if we calculate, and that's what goes on the bond hearing tomorrow.
No,
Okay,
What's that?
you can't do that.
You can't do that?
because it's been
No,
posted.
it's been posted for an X amount of money.
You can't
And
change
if you
it.
change it, I will have to repost the bond hearing,
Could we
and you'll have to
could we,
hold it next Tuesday. That's municipal law, that's finance law.
could we post can we add another warrant? To allocate funds as a contingency out of unassigned? I mean, $1 million is that's a lot of money, but the idea is you don't touch it.
You could, you'll have to get, you'd have to vote, and budget committee would have to vote on Thursday. I mean, you could, that's a lot of money to take from unassigned.
So
And
do we just add another
do you
500?
know you're there yet? I mean, that's the point.
Do we know what?
You know that that's where you should be. To say just another $1 million out of contingency, I think we're right.
So it sounds like we're stuck. We have a bond number that we've already posted. We can't change that.
You
If we want
can,
to, if we,
I'll repost it, the bond hearing, and you'll have it next Tuesday.
Can I ask a question? If you're kind of stuck with 6 now, what happens if they're in deliberative, you change it by amendment? You don't have to redo another bond hearing, do you?
yeah, because we have to go back and get the bond bank to approve
You
it,
have to get a
right?
new bond, yeah.
I mean, you have to get a new bond, you don't need to do another hearing, it won't affect the price if you say, okay, we'll increase it.
Do you need another bond hearing still? Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
still.
and it has to be done before the election too, right? Because the warrant has to get modified at that point.
Correct.
So
But between you and that fence post, how many people you expect to be at the bond hearing? 4?
well, the average is
5?
40, not bond hearing. Bond hearing, probably 12, and 10 of them will be town employees.
Yeah, and you can count me.
But
at
I'm
all.
hoping people are watching tonight and come. I mean, because this is a very important topic too.
So, that being the point, I think you guys need to get the number you're comfortable with, then decide what you need to do to make it happen.
Again, I would be comfortable with 20%. That would put us at over $1 million. That'd be $1,080,000? 81,000, $1,081,000 on a $6 million build.
Yep.
For me, but then, and I also think that it would be wise to do it and possibly repost the bond hearing, I think.
We can cancel tomorrow's pond meeting. That's
Oh,
fine.
absolutely.
Just do it
It's
the
nothing
following
for me
week
to
and then-
repost.
And if
I
we
don't
don't
have
use
to
the
worry-
money, we get it back,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Is this a
Pay down.
high-risk build? Because this is not a high-risk build, not that we're not trying to keep players in check. I get that. It's not a, well,
So the bottom line is,
it's an easy building to build, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's not a high risk that we will probably run in, yeah, so.
No, it's to Ron's point.
But is it,
Yeah.
do
requiring
we
a-
risk not having an engineering manager, clerk of the works and all that? Do we
The
have,
clerk of the works.
do we have time to hire one? Is that
Well, you
something
usually do
that?
that through
sure.
the school
Yeah.
process.
You do that after
you
the
can do
design.
that
You
anytime.
could do it after the,
Oh, yeah, no problem with that.
And it'll also give us time maybe to form that building committee, put a building committee together.
And I'll tell you why, that would be important, because that would be the committee that is your selection committee for the engineering and the
And the
construction
architect
manager.
And the construction manager, right?
because you don't actually have to start building until you're ready.
No, you have to engineer it first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect us to break ground until
Following year.
the best. Well, no, we broke ground in the winter for the fire station, but
Yeah, but I thought he said the last meeting at the budget committee that it was be like the fall or something,
Well, where's your,
some early fall.
yeah, of 2025.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we broke ground late fall too, or I know it was cold out I worked in the building.
I
when it
thought
was
you
cold.
did it right away.
No, we took a little while. 'Cause we probably started site work,
Yeah.
stuff like that, because that
the
was pretty much-
site work was different.
yeah, that was probably done right away. But the building, it was winter when the frame was starting to go up. Or it was cold.
One
let's put it that way.
recommendation is to form your committee now, put together your RFP in anticipation of getting approval. So your RFP for engineering, go out the next day. Done.
I mean, the fire department committee, which came out of the bond discussion, was, there was 2 selectmen, IT, which same thing for me this year anyway. I think town administrator was involved, the 2 department heads, the chief and the captain in this case were involved. And I believe it was 2 residents?
Yeah,
I know
I mean,
Kerry
that sounds
Douglas
about right.
was, but I think there was
Yeah.
one other resident on it too.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so we had a bunch of, I was gonna say, subject matter experts for the most part, and then folks that have that can weigh in and keep everybody honest, but, I mean, that worked well.
Would you consider
It was
being
short.
on it?
He was going for the job months ago.
Only because I've shut my mouth off so much, I would have to say yes.
Gonna back it up.
Yeah, and I would say,
Exactly.
we
And Ron's been on a
came
lot of
out
jobs.
we were done by election. And after that, there was no other changes that were required, but that was done. It was really a fast process, but then we already had our engineering stuff already, because at that point, it was already decided.
Yeah, see, that's the difference.
This is
You've
the
already.
We
one.
already
yeah.
had Warren Street on board.
Correct, we already had our engineering board.
Yeah.
And that process is longer than you think.
No, because the fire station went around several iterations before they finally decided.
All I'm saying is
Yeah.
to to go through the selection of a consultant is a lot longer than you might just think. It's not a, 2-minute or a 2-week
Yeah,
process.
we didn't have that.
At
We
least
were
couple
already
of
done.
months.
Huh?
It's at least 3 months.
I'm being optimistic at 2.
Yeah, I would
It
hope,
takes a
I would
while.
hope it's two,
So
too.
that's why I would recommend to you, you form the committee now
To write it.
and charge them with putting the RFP together.
You probably know.
You have all those documents ready to be issued
Yep.
on approval.
None of the Ron's
That
done this
minimizes your
before.
time.
So it sounds like we have a path forward then.
This is spoken by a clerk already.
They'll keep them in line.
Yeah, good luck. I tried.
It's a safer product.
I've had it for the
Buy-in
years.
might happen. Buy-in would be better, right?
Well, we still, I think we still have a road ahead of us. If we get past some of the stuff that Ron raised, and we get to that, I'll straighten that out. We still have to get to the voters to approve it in March, and that means we still have to sell the value while we're doing it.
You got it.
And why it's important to do it now and not 5 more years down the road, because that's unfortunately what's gonna end up happening at some point. And this is my concern, that it's sort of a different model. The fire station, the fire department, they were out there down at the dump, looking for the building. I don't know if we can get the police department to do that same thing.
They have been.
What's that again?
They have other ways of getting people's attention.
To come look? Take a tour?
No. There was a lot of effort from the call department to get the station. They spent a lot of sweat and tears to kind of
But
done.
the big difference too is people look at this building, like some of the comments is, how old is it? It's like, it's 27 years old.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know how old that building is, 1940s, the old fire station?
You'd be surprised how many people went to the fire station.
1960.
58.
1958?
58.
I mean, the fire station
57,
passed
58.
overwhelmingly, but my point, I think that was
My father
that
helped
was
build it.
a result of people getting it out to the folks, getting to the 55 and older communities, letting them understand why it's important.
Yep.
Getting out to the schools and the parents and making sure they understand that we're not trying to compete with this, but it's something we have to do. And I kind of wish that sometimes the town and the school were actually one entity and it's just one thing. It's not. We have our separate priorities, separate responsibilities, and
Right, and that's the unknown that we have.
we have no control over it. And we've been putting these type of projects off for years because of the unknown around GMS.
Yep.
Right? Whether it's build a new school or put the money to fix it, it was still a big price tag. And just to hear your details around the on-site insight reports are, $20 million or so over the next 10 years or whatever it was.
28 million.
Gets worse every time I talk about it. But $28 million over 10 years, that's a lot.
20 years.
20 years is still a lot of money. It's $1.5 million, let's call it $1.2 million every year for the
Exactly.
next 20 years.
Right.
That's a lot, that's a huge increase to the tax base.
It's just to maintain it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
And
true,
that's-
not even to fix it, or fix anything
The
immediate
good
today.
the good news, but I don't want to digress, but the good news is this is an option to, as you brought up, potentially avoid having to build a major new school. That's the potential
Correct.
good news.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems such a divide about whether it's rebuild or new.
Well, you've got two studies, I mean,
Yeah.
by
There are two
professionals
groups
in the
going on
industry
right now.
that say the school is okay.
And I'm not, the good thing about it, and I'm not going to say one way or the other. I do want to say that I am more than pleased with the openness of the superintendent.
Oh, yeah, the new one. yeah.
Superintendent
Oh,
will
God,
make the
yes.
day, and I, when whatever comes out of the FIC, the superintendent will, in my opinion, have been straightforward with us so that I will not be asking the questions I am now. Why couldn't, did we honestly look at all this? And so with that, I think there's a great optimism on my part, is that it won't be long before we find a way forward.
Yep.
At least to present to people.
I go with that one.
So it sounds like we're pulling the bond hearing tomorrow.
Yep.
We're canceling it.
Till next Tuesday.
And I appreciate the ability to get,
Thank you.
Like I said, I
Bedtime.
Which is
value
good, 'cause
your
I'm
input,
going out
Ron.
to dinner with
Thank
my
you, Ron.
wife.
So if we're canceling the bond hearing tomorrow, I need to know, what am I posting a new number at? Because you are required by law to post and have your bond hearing
$7.2 million.
by the 21st.
7.2.
7.2?
Again, that's my rough math, was another 1.2.
So would you have 5?
Over that?
What?
go with that.
Oh, go with that, okay, yeah, because I calculated based on the 10% was already in there.
7.2.
I added 20, that was 1.2, so that would be 7.2.
Yep.
32 plus.
Just remember what numbers running around in my head.
I'm not a mathematician, I have to use a calculator, but,
What was your number?
7.2. That's the.
Did you come up
new
with, Bob?
total. Because I'm adding 1.2 because of
I got
20%.
5.9 million plus,
I rounded- I did
plus
6.
another
Oh, I
542,000,
just did
comes to
6
6.5.
Wait just a minute. So you already got 10% in this.
Correct.
Right.
So we're just adding
I added
10% more.
I added 20, I
So we're
thought.
adding 10.
You can add 20 if you want.
I was taking your advice to go to 30.
Okay.
I'm,
But if
I
the
would
chair
rather be at
says only
20.
20, then I'll
20's
back
no,
down.
it's the will of the board, it's not the chair.
Palatable.
If you go all the way to my 30, it's 1.2.
Okay, so, I mean, I'm,
I'm happier with 6.5. I'm just saying.
The lower number.
6.5 compared to 7.2 does sound like a,
it sounds like a better number,
Substantial.
yeah, I know.
And that's the 5.964, adding another 542.
What's 25%?
That's 20%.
What's 25%? What did you say? It was 650?
No, I don't.
So what did you get?
I think.
No, I didn't know there was, I didn't know the numbers.
If it's
But
6.5,
if you really think it's if you really think it's 500,000, why aren't you taking that out of the sign?
Safety for the public, building in the contingency. It's a little buy-in and they can get it back if we don't
But you
spend
could
it.
take that out of unassigned and not hit the taxpayers.
you could take it out on a sign, you could do 500,000 out on a sign, and
If
if
you-
we don't
if
tap
that's
into
what
it,
you
it never
really
leaves the
think it
bank,
is.
it's always there. Right?
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to that either,
so
as long as the unassigned fund balance is healthy.
leave this at 5.9, that already has 10%, and then do the 10% from unassigned.
That'd have to be a separate warrant
Safety.
article.
It would be a separate warrant article, yeah.
Contingent on this passing.
I wouldn't do that.
Contingent on it passing or contingent,
Confusing to the users.
oh, confusing.
Feels like you're being manipulated.
True.
Okay,
Yeah.
6.5?
Go with
Straight up front with the price.
6.507089.
Number.
Yeah.
Just round it up.
Six million, $507,089.
No, so when you bond, you
You gotta-
bond in $100,000.
Yeah, it's round numbers.
Increment.
We don't wanna go to 6.6, that's the
So
something.
you're
507,000.
Either going 6.5 or you're going 6.6.
6507. Oh, yeah, it's gotta be 100,000.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. All right, 6.5.
So,
That's gonna be about 19%.
And don't forget, you have some, one of the reasons we wrote the warrant article the way it is,
Yep.
is you have some major impact fees coming in.
you can use it.
You wanna use those, or
We
you're gonna
could.
end up giving them back.
You know how much those might be?
Not yet.
Well, without the big projects the large projects haven't had their occupancy permits, you don't pay impact fees till you get your occupancy permit. You already got
That's my
46,000
thing.
in there without any of those
That's my
projects.
thought, okay.
They just started 4 more buildings.
So for those sitting at home, it's a 15-year level debt.
Well, it's
It'll
gonna
be
change
more
now,
than,
'cause
it'll
it's gonna be
change more from
6.5.
45. So it'll change
All
from
those
45
numbers
cents.
die.
Yeah,
Change,
it'll change from 45.
yes. I'll get new bond estimates.
We'll have to get new bond estimate tomorrow. I would expect 55.
Yeah, somehow tomorrow while I'm sitting at the PUC.
It's gonna be about, yeah.
Your computer uses.
My guess is
wireless, so you
55
plug in
on it.
and,
Can I,
As it sits right now at 45 cents, it's $226 on a $500,000 house.
If they have.
For those of you in the wealthy part of town, a $700,000 house would be $300 a month roughly.
$300 a year.
$316 a year, I'm sorry. A
My
year.
God, well, your rent just went up.
For 15
Yep,
years.
$316 a year.
For how many years?
15.
That's a 15-year level debt, which bites it off, and we're saving about, I think it's is it 1 million over a 20-year and a 25?
I'm not gonna be
And
able
2
to
million
go.
over a 30-year, if I'm reading these right. So,
on the 21st, John, you look at the calendar?
What's on it? It's just a zoning board meeting.
Does that include the
and planning.
engineer that we're paying for?
Planning's got a
It shouldn't be
public
much.
hearing.
I mean, it's professional money.
so
Yeah.
for 15 years, this is right now before this small change, 7.8 million, 41,000 for 15 years. For 20 years, it would be 8.663. And for 25 years, it would be 10,444,000. So we're trying to take the smallest apple off the tree here.
So,
But they'll change a little bit with the reconfiguration.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll get updated numbers
yes.
as soon as possible, and we'll get them on the website so everybody can go check it out. Please, okay, thank you. Pardon me?
What's the new total?
We don't have the new, of the bond?
Yeah.
6.5?
Yeah, 6.5.
6.5 mil.
And that's because you're taking out 500,000 out of unassigned.
No, that's
We're
not
not gonna
touching
do that?
unassigned.
We're not?
We
That's
now-
20% what he just read off.
Yeah,
The
it's
6.5,
it's
okay.
roughly adding in another 9%.
But we can
So it'll be
19,
20
yeah.
Yeah, it'll be 20%
They didn't
in the
vote on it
bond
anyway,
for
right?
contingency.
Okay.
If we need to, we can take it from there.
We were
use it
throwing that
down.
idea around this way.
Bring costs down.
I agree with Ron by saying we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and it's gonna be doing this.
Yeah, it
People
makes it
look at it
cleaner.
and say, no, you're not, because I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You got it, we're
Shell
doing it.
game, I don't want another
The
shell game.
budget committee can't vote on it.
Right, but we can let them know what the new warrant, what the new wording
And
is.
let them know what the new number is,
Yep.
but the budget committee cannot vote until after the public hearing.
Correct, and that's what happened to the fire department. They
Yep.
voted at the end of deliberative to do it.
Yes, right.
Because we
Yep.
came out of the bond hearing a lot of feedback. We stepped back and redid it, so.
Yeah, we
it's
did
not
that
something
before.
Is there any more discussion on this?
Did we actually close public hearing yet?
No, I'm about to do it. Are there any more members of the public that would like to come up and speak?
Public comment, sorry, yeah, public comment.
Hearing none, we will close public input at 8:42 PM. And we also knocked a couple other things off our agenda, which is really nice. Yeah. The new
Well,
proposed
the warrant
police
article.
station bond process and open house. We did that.
Now we have approval of minutes.
So yeah, up next, we have item 1. Approval of minutes for December 23rd, 2024. Has everyone had a chance to look at them?
Yes,
And are there any changes, alterations,
not that I saw.
et cetera, et cetera?
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from December 23rd, 2024.
We have a motion from Mr. Brunel,
Second it.
second from Mr. Gannon. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 500. All right.
Good night, gentlemen.
Up next.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I'll talk to you
Appreciate
tomorrow
you.
by phone.
Building building code warrant
Yep.
article.
Up next, we have discussion on the updated building code warrant article. Kim, what do you got?
So you will, find planning board is having a public hearing on this, next Tuesday,
Yep.
the 21st as well. The issue,
It's not in there.
that I think wasn't clear, until Friday night when we met. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch that meeting.
Yep.
The building code that you have in the current, building code
The way it's written in our zoning.
ordinance
Right,
is incorrect.
correct.
So you have to abide by the state code RSA 155. That's what it needed to be updated. It referenced a BOCA code that no longer exists. That was the first part of it. The second part of it is, in 1988, you had a warrant article passed that said that the appeals board, should someone want an appeal of the building inspector, was the ZBA. That passed overwhelmingly. And that hasn't been carried forward and wasn't updated in your building code ordinance. So there seemed to be some confusion on who exactly that was. Some people were saying it was the Board of Selectmen, which it was not.
Never.
The Board of Selectmen isn't even an option by state RSA, unless you don't have a zoning board of adjustment, which you do.
So it got voted in by the people, but it never got adopted.
It never got
Updated.
updated in the zoning ordinance. So now, fast forward to today, you have an option.
Mm-hmm.
You can create a building code of appeals. Gotta find 5 residents that would wanna be it.
We can barely staff the zoning board.
I know.
Right.
Or you can have your ZBA.
Yep.
I don't think you really wanna go down the route of creating a building code cause I think a lot of your residents that may be interested are gonna have conflicts of interest, right? A lot of our active people are somehow in the trades, and so I think that would be difficult. I think you leave it the ZBA. If the ZBA does not feel comfortable, or there's a case that they aren't, then they can push it to the state building code of appeals, and the state hears it.
Well, if it's what the people voted on, then I think that's the route we go.
I concur.
Yeah, I
Most towns,
don't believe we'll be able to get a small board just for the Board of Appeals. I'd rather ZBA, and then if the ZBA don't feel comfortable, push it to the state.
What's the criteria for the ZBA to pass it to the state?
Criteria is that wish not to hear it, that's
It's just a
it.
recommendation. They don't have to,
You don't have to.
they can push it automatically.
Without even considering it.
Right, it can go to them, they can look at it and say,
Okay.
we're pushing you to.
Well,
the
doesn't
state."
that fly in the face of the vote that the people took?
To a degree.
Put it in there.
But the way the laws have changed, Bob.
I mean, I guess you could look at it that way, but the state building code of appeals was adopted after the 1988.
Right. That's why.
So it
And,
wasn't an option at the time.
right, it wasn't an option at the time. You could have had it in that warrant article, but you really don't need to. The state has final authority. So even if the ZBA ruled, they could still go
They could
and
still
appeal
appeal
it
to
to
the
the state.
And we're adhering to state ordinances, so
Right.
they're the ones that should decide. If you get to the point where the ZBA cannot make a decision, they go to the state would be the ones to decide.
Right, and you always have the option now of, if you have a building inspector, and the building inspector and the contractor are not on the same page for whatever reason,
Mhm.
that building inspector can reach out to the state.
Yep.
And let them work it out before it actually becomes
Issue.
a real appeal.
All my years of doing this, I never had an appeal before the zoning board of adjustment. It's always been handled in-house. between the state, when the state building code came up. We sat down, had a meeting, and we did it like that. And the same thing, I've never had an appeal go before the ZBA for a building code. So I've done it for 40-plus years, and I never had one. Okay? So I don't see this now. I talked to other towns, and they really don't get too many. And if they do, the way the law has changed, with the state adopting all the codes now, the towns used to adopt their own codes back in the day. Now the state's got the overseeing thing in the whole state, so it's one code to the whole state. They have an appeal process up there. So if you have to go there, you go there. Most cases, they'll solve the problem before they go. Okay?
So that's just letting you know it's going, they held a meeting, they pushed it forward, it goes to public hearing
Okay.
next
Good.
Tuesday, and it will be on the, as a
Be on the-
zoning warrant article.
It really clarifies a lot of
It
things.
clarifies the whole thing.
Yeah.
Alright. Good. Up next, update of tax deeded property, Lock Mill Drive. Ms. Kleiner.
So, for those of you.
All right, Ron,
Everyone-
thank
Hey,
you.
Ron.
Ron, thank you.
Hey, Kim,
Thanks for the input.
you set the bond hearing date, that's gonna be determined.
It'll be next
the
Tuesday.
21st. So, the tax deeded property at 22 Lockville.
Yep.
There were two cases. There was a case in the district court over possession between a family that moved into the house and the town. And then there was a case at Superior because the same said person was claiming that they had ownership of the property. And of course, we claim that the town has, and the deed currently says the town is tax deeded it. We do not have a final decision on either.
Okay.
We are waiting. Unfortunately, even if we have a final decision on those, it is going to be a while before the town can move forward with auction because it's in probate.
The house is in probate?
Yeah. Because the,
No, I
Yeah.
didn't think you had any relatives, so.
Why is it in probate?
Because they have to go through the process of determining that there are no relatives.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
But we already
So-
know that, right?
We do,
We know,
We
but they
believe.
don't know.
we believe, but, we don't know who has filed or who has stepped in, and come forward. But they have to finish that process. Even if they found someone, it could become like the Cortland, right? Where the town would still, they would have the option of paying off the taxes. If they didn't, the town could still auction it off, but now that
Money would go
money
somewhere.
gets turned
Yep.
over to the probate.
So, let's say that all passes, we go to auction it. Typically, we can only collect the past due, but if we auction it now, we
Up
own
to
it.
10% administrative fee.
But now we own it all, right? Because there's no place to send the money to?
If we go to the
No,
state.
it goes to the state, yeah.
Oh, it will go to the state?
Yeah, it'll go to the state.
What does the state do with it?
It sits
Use
in a kitty until someone comes forward. It's like that found money,
Yeah,
you know?
I'm never that lucky.
I'm never that lucky either,
I
but,
found a bill.
Don't go looking for those.
but the house we're keeping it heated. The police department is keeping it,
The modern time.
eye over it, and, it is, it's,
Is it empty now?
secure,
It is
empty
empty.
and secure.
Oh, good.
Have we shut the water off to it, the well?
And the cat's okay?
And the
No
cat's up.
cat.
The,
No
no
cat.
cat's good.
The cat's
The
okay.
cat's good.
No one
Okay.
said.
They have them back.
Has the well been shut off? There's a well up there, right?
If it's feral, we can send it to my house. I got a lot of mice
I
and
think it
chipmunks to
was
get rid
town
of.
water.
It should
Okay,
still be shut off, though.
you should shut that off if it hasn't been, okay?
Just so the house doesn't go.
Yeah, I'll
case it
have,
freezes.
I can do that
Check
tomorrow.
it, or you
Yeah.
can go up
Yeah.
and check it.
We'll go look at it.
Yeah, please. Okay.
We used to do
I
those kind
know
of things
Mr.
before.
Brown has been working on the heat and keeping it minimal.
It's part of the job.
You really
It's
only
kinda
need
weather
50
stuff.
degrees, that's plenty.
Where?
Some of the houses are tight.
Calendar.
So,
Gee.
still on
It's also
process,
The
but
next one's a calendar
good
item,
place.
right?
All right. Up next, we have town deliberative and warrant article presentation.
So,
So, well, there's a laugh there. That's
That's a good
Saw
start.
the email.
town
an evil
deliberative,
laugh.
is that the gym?
Oh, wait a minute, am I seconds? Oh, building inspector hiring process, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we're just
Oh,
doing two
I'm
different
sorry.
things.
Let's go backwards, my bad.
Okay. Next Wednesday, the 22nd,
Yeah.
Monday the 22nd. What
um,
time?
6.
non-public session, because it's
Yep.
hiring of a public employee, and 6 o'clock.
6
And
PM?
we'll be meeting in the
Planning.
planning room.
Okay, planning room.
Hopefully you all like to be close together.
We're close.
It's a nice room.
It's not that bad.
22nd at what time?
6.
6 p.m.
We have 3 candidates.
September 20, I mean, January.
January 22nd, 6th,
22nd,
22nd.
next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. This coming,
So
next
you said
Wednesday.
26th. Okay.
I'm off a week.
Interview, okay. And we have 3 candidates, is that right?
3 candidates.
Good, okay. Any questions, anyone? All right. Now, town deliberative and warrant article presentation,
Now,
part 2.
February 1st, 1 PM at Campbell High School gym.
I read that today.
I just want to publicly state how frustrated I am about this.
Okay, I was gonna make a statement too.
Well, I'm looking from, I literally, I have to have 4 to 5 guys with me at
It's an
7
IT
o'clock in the
type
morning
situation, I know.
to set up and get everything squared away and get it tested and work with the school because some of the stuff doesn't work and it's not the most comfortable place, but it has to be done. My granddaughter is in that place, so I'm
I have
happy. I
grandkids
guess.
in it too. so-
The town
But-
clerk, she received complaints when we met
Yep.
there last year. So, the superintendent and I spoke this afternoon. We intend to block off February the 1st and 2nd Saturdays of next year, so that nothing can be scheduled. We'd like to get back to a place where
It's comfortable.
school and town is coordinating their deliberative in the morning and the afternoon, so
And we used to
Not-
alternate, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, 1 year, and the old administration kind of put the nix to that.
But who wants to sit on wooden school bleachers for possible several hours?
No, you'd have a break, so like the.
I know,
town would do
but
the morning and then.
Going forward, we'll be in the auditorium.
yes.
Yeah, before you had the soft seats. Now you got the hard seats rolled out.
So, and you know what, is there was a mix-up on this, and, I know that Kim and Brian O'Connell, the superintendent, had already had it worked out, but somehow it was mixed up, and I think it was the meeting that you weren't here, the music director came and was asking us at the end of the meeting about what we needed for the.
That was the budget
That was
meeting.
budget?
Yeah.
Okay. But asking what we needed, because we were setting up for, he knew it was going to be that day, so somewhere there was a mix-up, and it wasn't Ms. Klein's fault, it wasn't Mr. O'Connor's fault. Somewhere along the lines, somebody didn't get the memo, which is why we had.
Yeah, and that was,
we had.
that was related to the budget hearing, because he doesn't worry about the weekends, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we tried to do it the right
Yep.
way, the town clerk, the superintendent,
Everybody worked
the
together.
business administrator, and I met in early December.
Yep.
And, You know, I thank the superintendent. He's wonderful to work with. So
That's good.
I thank him very much for trying to accommodate the town.
Glad we got a good one this time.
Yeah, he is. He's really, very,
Good.
very transparent.
Everything I've seen so far has been unbelievable compared to what we had.
Yep, that's good. So, all right, up next, Town Administrator, Selectmen reports.
So I had a lot of feedback on people seem to like the January newsletter, which was a little bit different. The down below.
By the way, they call it the best ofs. Typically, at the end of the year, they do that.
The calendar year 2024 report from the trustee of trust funds and their December reports are on your portal for your review.
Okay.
Karen and I have both looked at them. 2025 town hall hours, we haven't received any comments.
Okay.
And, you know, so far, so good on that. The public hearing at the PUC is tomorrow. I do
You going to
not
that?
know, I am, I'm meeting town council.
Good.
I do not know how long we will be there. I was told to prepare for a while, so.
As usual.
And then, so on your next board and commission meeting, somewhat like Mr. Burns today, on the 27th will be Michael Croto from the planning board, and the thought was he can update you on all the zoning, warrant articles and what they pertain to, so going into that, you have that information. And then,
Judging by what we saw tonight with Mr. Burns, I kind of like this. I think it's good that they come to us and talk to us.
I concur.
Then we at least know what's going on.
Before we told that.
There's a lot.
so our next, staff leadership meeting is next Wednesday, and we're putting together information for the town academy. Now, we've had a couple directors or managers who have said they'd like to call it the Town Services Academy. Don't know how whatever they want. And I did have Rec reach out, so we're happy. It seems like Rec and COMCOM want to participate in that, so that's good. And then we're putting together the next pieces on the strategic plan. I think administration and fire and police are pretty well put together on the plan, and then we can bring it forward. Petition warrant articles tomorrow is the deadline. Town submitted the second Granite State update to the Granite State Fleet Program. That's the new truck that you got. And they have told me that the reimbursement for funds has been sent through, so we should be receiving that shortly.
Okay.
A reminder, January 20th, that's the new holiday, Martin Luther King Day, so town hall is closed. And then January 30th and 31st, I would like to take vacation. My husband's taking me away for my birthday.
Well, I hope he brings you back.
Because she asked me back on the first. But deliberative.
She's been working 60, 70 hours a week.
I know.
Yep.
She deserves a lot more.
Exactly.
Funny story. It's the last week with our grandchildren before they leave so we're spending my birthday in the Adventure Treehouse Suites in North Conway.
Those are fun. The kids will get a kick out of it.
It'd be
So I'll
warm
be
up there
sleeping
too.
in a treehouse, I guess.
That'll be fun.
The temperature should be better up there than it is down here.
But I do have to say, for the warrant articles, going back to the warrant articles, we need to determine a sign.
Mhm.
Who's doing what warrant article? That's part of the process, so maybe on the 27th, we can,
Yep.
if you wanna think about that,
Yep, I'll look at them.
Yep.
we can determine. That's it.
Very good. All right. Where are we at? Here we go. Up next, we have Selectmen reports. Recreation Commission, Mr. Lynch.
We're gonna meet tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night? Perfect.
Yeah, you just got the update today.
Yeah, we did get the update today, that's true. Okay, I don't have to go.
Do you know what?
I know what's
Chris
going,
said?
yeah, whatever was said today, that's where they are.
Going to do
Up
a
next, we have Planning Board and Heritage Commission, Mr. Gannon.
So Heritage, we had a quick meeting last time.
Okay.
They have decided to pull the historical district warrant article at this time, so it'll probably be presented again next year. Planning Board, I'm finding it quite interesting. Review of typical cases as expected, and we've been doing a work session on MUVD, which is Multiple Use Village District, which is it's an interesting concept. Kind of think of it like, I wouldn't say Tuscan Village, but Tuscan Village is just much smaller, where the northern commercial area will be turned into multiple use village district, where you could have some condos, you could have some small stores, you could have
Mixed use.
Mixed use, yeah.
So it
So,
is now, right?
Similar, yeah, a little bit there.
more of a
Yeah.
a draw to town.
Design change would be the whole thing. It's not like the acre lot or stuff like that.
Yeah, and then you could have nothing bigger than 10,000 square feet, so maybe you could have a small market or a small restaurant, and then some small.
The issue up there is gonna be a subsurface, because there's no town sewer up in that area.
Yeah.
So your density is not gonna be as thick as you may think, because you gotta deal with subsurface.
Yeah,
I mean, Manchester's not far away.
Yeah, still, so it's a way.
interesting topic.
We run gas line through there.
I ain't saying nothing anyway now.
Anything can happen if the right people are behind it.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say much.
All right, up next,
Put it back in the river.
Ms. Queenan with Capital Improvement, Economic Development, NRPC, and
That's it.
that's it?
That's it. The SIP, we met on January 6th. When I say we, Kim updated the team on any Board of Selectmen changes we made here with unassigned balance, updating the police cars, all that other kind of thing. Budget changes were also updated to the team, and anything with the highway department with the future grants and the way the roads would be handled this year. Let's see, the remainder stayed the same. The school's continuing to move forward, and hopefully we'll report some numbers later for this year coming up. I'll leave that there. We also came up with a calendar already to hopefully stick to get this to us, so we're not having a crunch at the end of the year, trying to have all these public hearings with the planning board and then coming here. So that was we made that up, and it will be on the minutes, and I think it's going to be on the agenda at the bottom when our plan is for that. Economic Development Plan, I did speak with Jay. He has not had a chance to look further into zoning. I will see him this week on Wednesday, and I will ask him again to see. We need to know that if we're going to have a February 26th meeting, so I need to turn that around quickly. So I will make a call with him. As far as NRPC, we do have our monthly meetings, but on the executive committee, but we don't have the full commissioner meeting until March 19th, 7 p.m., 30 Temple Street in Nashua. That's all I have.
Good. All right, up next, we have Emergency Management and Conservation with Mr. Brunel.
Yeah, so conservation, the Rocha subdivision was approved last Tuesday. They're moving on to the deed now, which is the next step. Upcoming is a kids ice fishing derby at Dara. It's set for Saturday, February 22nd, assuming weather and ice conditions are well. At the last minute, they did a sort of a review in 2024, kind of went back and see what they did from accomplished goals. They stated they completed 20-ish goals. I would say more than that, to be honest with you. They claim they missed one major goal, which is Darapond's milfoil project, but
They're working
there's a
on
lot
it.
of reasons for that.
Yeah.
And they serviced around 220 work orders, which, everything from field maintenance to other activities. And they have some, obviously, 2025's biggest project is finalizing DeRoche's farm and working off for some grants for the pier for Dara Pond and the water quality study they want to do. And if I can shift gears for 1 second, I would like to bring some things up to your attention, which are things that have been done over the last week. That's all. So there was some conversations about Dara Pond, or Town Hall. I just wanted to show you real quick the new cameras that went in play. These are all the new cameras right here.
Yep.
All right, this is actually off the tower. I gotta go up there and clean the lens. It's pissing me off. But these are the new towers, these are the new cameras, okay, and that's where the money went. And the project is, from a camera, it's 100% done. I'm working on getting an electrician to move an electrical outlet underneath the cabinet to bring it all in one place, but that's, that's not related to that for the most part. It's just
Very good.
my OCD kicking in, not like an extension cords on the floor, so that's that.
Not to throw a monkey wrench in your works, but I don't see the outhouse there anywhere that keeps getting tipped over.
The outhouse is right, where is it, where's the camera?
It's by the gate, right?
It's right here, yeah, it's right there. That's where it is. You can see it, in the daytime you can see it. There's no way to get the outhouse because of the angle of it.
Yeah.
You get the outhouse from the tower and also there, but that is right
Oh,
there.
you can get it
Could
from the
move
tower,
it.
okay.
Yeah. What's that?
Could move it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
It's
could.
on wheels.
Where do you want it?
Skids.
Anyway.
Oh, wheels, skids.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, as you probably all know, we just finished a major project in the police department around their RMS system. And one of the things that we enabled in that system was bringing in an online live statistics page that public can go to. In the past, they would actually go to the website and get a log report, it was a paper report that was, everything went on. People now can come in here and actually search date, time, location, and take a look at what kind of activities going on in the neighborhood. This view here is just a view of Litchfield in general. And, if I don't change the date parameters, change the what I'm looking for, if I can click in, I can see this was a DUI stop, right? Location of the DUI stop, right? These would be traffic stops. So if anybody's interested on what kind of activity the police department has, this is now on their website for their access. They can go look at it. They can go back in time. It is only goes far back as when the system went online. The older records are still in the old police blotter paper forms. But just a little,
Is that what the red
Where's
ones
the
are?
link?
DW.
it's on the police department page. You'll see it's a link called police activity. You
Next
click on that,
to
it'll bring you there.
Nice.
So
I gotta get that stuff on my
Christmas mobile.
computer.
if you're interested in what's going on in town, there we go.
Now I know why they stopped somebody up front.
And that's it. Sorry, I just want, again, a little show and tell, just so that folks know.
Thanks, John.
Unfortunately,
Is it for
his
me?
cameras went in a little too late. I had my neighbor call me and say that they found some trash down at Dara, and I picked it up, and it was like old driveway sealant that they dropped down there, and I think
Oh,
someone
really?
tried to light it on fire.
Yeah.
And then like a week later, John put the cameras in. So I picked them up. They're actually still in my trailer. I have to dump them, but it would have been nice to be able to find that person and,
Yeah.
well, although we probably wouldn't have been able to identify it, but at least now they'll be a little bit more,
If
Nervous
they had to
about
go around the building, you may get a better look at it, because there's cameras on all corners of the
yeah,
building.
so this was sitting on the beach.
Oh, on the beach, so they drove by. So there's two angles for that camera. There's the porch camera, and there's
Yep.
one on top.
Yep.
So,
All right, and as far as school facilities, the school board has asked them to come up with a plan within the next, I think it's 3 or 4 weeks to give to them so they can move forward, so we've been working on that. Still a lot of discussion on which path forward to go, but I think it's, with all the two reports we got from the Turner report and the On-Site Insight report, which went through the schools, I think renovation is kind of the way going forward. So as far as Griffin goes, and then the other schools are going to need some other work done at some point. So that's that. And then the Budget Committee, we voted on all of the articles except for the police, and they all passed the Budget Committee, correct? And they all got the stamp of approval, okay?
Except fire. So the
Oh, yeah, because we're gonna come
fire
back with a redone number.
would like the budget committee would like you to consider lowering that number so that it's under the cap.
So it fits under the tax cap. And I think we have like 41,000 and something after the library approval.
Yes.
What was it originally, like 47,
It was like 47,000, so we'd have to lower it, yeah.
6K.
Or find, 6,100.
Or find $6,000 somewhere else, yeah.
Yeah, call it $6,200.
So can we find, first question would be, can we find the money somewhere? Because we have budget hearing Thursday, I'm sorry.
On Thursday, yes. So, I think it's difficult, to find the money
Yep.
somewhere.
And you can't use unassigned fund balance for that.
No.
No. Just gonna try to.
And do they have anything in their budget line that could be used with the year-end funds from this year?
It's already gone, right?
It's already gone?
Yeah, it's already closed.
We've already spent all, okay.
It's already closed.
Oh, that's right.
The end of the year is already done.
So fire would just have to adjust their numbers to
I'll have to adjust it.
follow.
Does the,
They were asking to cut it in half, I think, but I think maybe.
Tell them to adjust it.
No, I think that's.
what about the revenue increases we talked about?
too low.
Did that help at all?
So the revenues were already built into it, the
I was talking about
increase in.
I was talking about the meals and tax that went up by, what, 20 grand?
Oh, yeah, no, that we already had that.
So we have to
after we
reduce
went
that number
back.
by
Thanks, you though.
6,000 we have to reduce it by, right? To get it under the cap?
Yes.
So
I'm gonna pull
6,000.
it
So
up
maybe we just,
Oops. Sorry. Come on.
It's amazing we got under the cap from where we started.
The cap keeps on bumping around.
Yeah, but
well, we still don't have the police station then.
That's true.
That's not gonna be able to get their endorsement because it is way over the cap.
Police station zero impact.
Yeah, that's the first year though, but
So,
that's.
But they
the
don't have,
police, the fire and the library, the
We're gonna put
library
everything in.
was already approved.
Yep.
Yep.
Came to $50,675. They were only under the tax cap by 44,562, which left 6,113 of a delta. So we'd have to really lower the budget by 62, or lower the supplemental fire coverage by warrant article by 62.
6,200?
Yeah, and see where it comes in. Now, we know you already lowered that, right? They had originally wanted more.
No, they had it in the budget and we pulled it out to go to warrant.
Well, no, you didn't go to warrant for the full amount they wanted.
they went for
They
five.
wanted
7 days.
66,976, and you only adjusted it to 47.
Yeah, we changed it.
Oh, yeah, that was after we
So-
talked to Doug, right?
Staffs, because they were thinking 56 hours a week, 7 days. And you reduced it to 40 hours a week.
Yep.
If you.
Looked at the numbers.
Why don't we reduce it by the
62.
6,300 and let them figure out how they want to spend it
Correct.
and how he wants to implement it.
Yeah.
And that'll leave $100 buffer.
I think they would be happy with that, just to be able to get the
I think
program
so.
started.
I
They
think
may have
so.
to miss a couple of days, but, I mean, I'll tell you that I'm hearing a lot more calls going in the day, and they've had a call for a third guy because the paramedic has gone to the hospital,
Yes.
right?
You have to have it
There are
filled.
almost 9,000 people in the town now. It's hard for two to
Just
cover.
saying, it's gonna happen one way or the other, whether we give them the money or not, they're gonna run it.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to staff, and
Yeah, or we're gonna start hitting overtime, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit more than 5 hours a week.
So in other words, you're gonna get healthier people.
yeah, and they can decide to take one day out of it and just make it
Yep.
4 days a week.
So if we reduce it $6,300, then they fit under the cap, and I think he would be happy with that.
Yeah, at least get them started.
Yeah, they'll at least get them going.
And they can then show the data behind it too, like, because that would be the other side.
And they can
This is
drop
the money- this is
some
money
hours
well
here and there,
spent.
and
Show the
move
value.
things
And
around.
he can find, or he can find the money in his regular budget somewhere, you know?
So that would,
So we'll reduce that number by 6,300.
But change the procedure on how you get to a call.
so it would be 41,540.
You can't change, Kevin, come into the 20th century.
I did come into the
You-
20th
you
century.
you cannot drive to a call in your personal vehicle. Sorry, Kevin, it doesn't work.
So,
Even though you bring your gear home.
You cannot
can't-
bring your gear home anymore neither.
Because they changed the policy, right?
No, they didn't change the policy, NFPA did.
so please revote the warrant article.
Which warrant article is that?
That is,
Seven?
It's the one you see highlighted in
Yeah,
yellow on the-
17.
in the-
yeah,
16 is,
are you back on the portal, Don?
It's 16,
it's okay.
and we changed the number to what?
40,
47,900 to what?
41,540.
540, Article 16.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we change Article 16 to read $41,540 for the supplemental fire coverage.
Just look at it.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Questions, comments, threats? No? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 500.
41,500, right?
Yeah, 41,540.
41,540.
540, yeah.
540. 41540. Okay. So, other than that, I don't think I have anything else.
You made a comment, I'm just curious. You're
Yes.
telling they're all obligated to bring the tax cap.
Yes,
You're saying they're not gonna vote for the police department because it's not over the tax cap.
it will put us over.
How?
Well, next year it'll put us over.
But it
No,
won't,
next
not
year,
this
next year it's, I mean,
This year.
There'll be no tax.
there's no
impact
tax
next year.
impact on them.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's still
I know,
financial.
But we are going, well, that's true, but that's also,
It's how we did the fire station too.
I know it is, but
How
I
would that-
I think that as a taxpayer, that's a little bit, I won't say, I don't wanna say misleading, but
I'd rather know how much upfront too.
I would too. But that's
you
why
can't say it.
we're gonna put every year's in a folder or whatever we can do.
All I'm saying is it sounds like the budget committee's not in support of the police station.
No, everyone knows what needs to be done, but they're up against a hard cap.
But they're not up against the hard cap this year, is my point.
Because it's $0.
Right. $0.
But next year, we're gonna get hit with whatever that number is.
We have 175,000 coming off from the radio system.
150.
175, I thought it was.
No, 750,000, 5 years.
The tax.
Was it
the-
150? I don't even remember now at this point.
We have a non-public, right?
The radio tower?
Yeah,
Non-public.
it's 150.
Is that in-
There's nothing there,
is
nothing to
that in
read.
your budget?
No, it's in,
General
Yeah.
buildings, right?
no, it's in
General.
debt, I thought. That was in debt.
No, I don't think so. I think it's in general building. And it is,
Should transfer the whole requirement over there then.
cause it's a lease.
Yeah.
It's not debt. It's
Oh,
one
it's a
ti-
lease.
158.90.
Oh, that's fine, okay.
Yeah.
That's why we have the voters guide, to make sure voters understand so they can make their informed
Yeah.
decision. I just, always my concern is when the board, I mean, we've approved it, but when the budget committee doesn't approve it, people don't even give it a second look, they just move right past it.
Right.
And I just. I
Because
think
they question, why didn't the budget approve
Right,
it?
right. I mean, it is what it is, but.
I think at some point, it may be good to reach out and have Mr. Peoples and Mr. Bohm and
The law needs to be
LaSalle's.
changed. LaSalle.
Mr. Salas.
yeah. I know that they are working a lot in Concord, and it might be good to have a joint meeting to talk about some issues. I'd love to see that part of the statute change.
Yeah, did you see that? I saw that. Somebody sent that to me. Ray Peoples sent it out.
Got it.
Huh? You got it? Did everybody see that?
I didn't look on Facebook yet.
Oh.
Is it on Facebook?
Yeah, I think that
Was.
I can
Ray's been very good about his
It
communication.
says, excerpt, "If I am reading this correct, we will not be allowed to keep our excess funds, beginning with the budget cycle commencing in late '23, culminating in votes in March or April '24. The state is enjoined from permitting communities to retain excess swept funds." Whatever a swept
It's
fund.
school.
That's
That's
school-
a,
that's school
that's a
focused, yeah.
school.
The school funds? Okay.
Yeah, not the town.
Or offset, yeah, it didn't say anything, so then there's nothing about the town, that's the school, so. I'll forward that to my friends at the school.
I believe it's because they're trying to deal with the state education
Yeah.
Correct.
issue, so they,
Oh, yeah.
There's a petition going around on
New
that.
Hampshire Superior Court decision, Stephen Rand, of the state of New Hampshire on the statewide education property tax.
correct, yeah.
So there you go.
They were here today for the petition to be signed.
If anyone's on Facebook, which I'm not, Mr. Ray Peoples, who is one of our reps, and that will be on there.
Debbie knows.
Oh, yeah. She sent it to me.
That's exactly my point.
She cut it and pasted it and texted it to me.
So Sam.
Not completely in the dark ages, I do text.
Oh, I know. Between the kids, you're right on top.
Kids are better than I am. All right. So that is the end of our public meeting for tonight. We do have non-public. Oh, we had a request for if, did everybody get my email this morning?
Yeah.
Is that, are we in fact having a public discussion? Because I know one of them's not, but I wasn't sure what the other one was.
I believe the non-public that you're referring to, the person has asked for it to be in public.
Okay. So we have, but we have one okay, so.
Yes, we have one non-public.
Okay, so we have one non-public, which we'll do after this public one. Okay. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, because I don't have anything on that.
I don't either.
I think we gotta narrow it down. Who is it?
So I believe the, public issue was, the plan that was requested, on IT. So he
Okay.
he has asked for that discussion to be in
Oh,
public.
okay. Okay, oh, we've talked about this.
What are we talking about? Because I'm sorry. I read my emails, I didn't see this. What is it?
Someone asked for this last non-public we put on. The topic is the IT documentation that we talked about in the past, and
Oh, that was me then. Oh, so we need to just talk about having documentation.
we already have documentation.
No, but I would have some questions, so I don't want this in public.
I want it in public. The last time
I
we
do
had a
not.
non-public, it was,
No. You agreed that you have a dual role, and if IT subject matter came up, you would not be a participant. And it's nothing bad, I just want to have a conversation with our group.
you're asking for IT to document stuff, which they have, I have. I have shared
Oh,
it
sorry.
I've shared it, I've
many times to
reviewed it.
review.
I would
Some
like
people
this
did.
not to be in public.
I don't see why it needs not to be in public.
Not in public.
Okay, then.
The information sensitive, not in public.
We don't need to talk about the actual sensitive.
I have to.
sensitive.
It's not in public.
So you're gonna sit there and accuse me of non-public? that
I'm not
doing-
accusing you of anything.
That's
It's
what
not
you did,
a,
that's what you did in non-public last time. So either you bring your proof, or you leave it alone.
you agreed not to be part of the Board of Selectmen discussions when it came to IT.
Budgets,
Budgets.
No.
budgets.
Is that what the lawyer said?
It doesn't matter, you're reflecting on my performance as an employee of the town?
It is
And as
not.
an employee of the town, I'm happy for the public to hear the
I'm tired of your
conversation.
games, John. You agreed.
You're tired of my
You change it if I'm misreading this. Am I misreading this? Did he agree not to be part of any discussion that had to do with IT?
I thought that was the
Budgets.
discussion.
Budgets. My understanding is he would not sit as a board member to discuss IT-related budgets. He would recuse himself, he'd sit as the IT director.
Okay.
But if we're discussing IT technology,
I am your subject matter expert.
I don't
And
want to
there's
talk
n-
about technology.
so then what are we talking about?
That's what's non-public.
The technology?
I want a discussion about IT with the Board of Selectmen. He is a department head, He has two roles. He knew that taking this job, and he agreed when we have an IT discussion.
On
He
budgets,
would-
is my understanding it.
What is your understanding?
I'm trying to recall what there was about back in the day.
What was your understanding?
High level was
I
about
did,
audits.
I do remember you saying if it came to a IT discussion that you would recuse yourself. I do remember that.
I remember
When we
that.
first did it, because
About
we
the
had met with
person.
the
I'll
lawyer.
accuse myself from the decision, but I'm not gonna accuse myself from not listening or providing
You
details.
provided documentation. I appreciate it. We are going to have a discussion about IT. Nothing to do with any insult.
I'm so
I want a
confused.
conversation about an IT issue.
What
If
is
we
the
f-
IT issue?
It's not your business. I'm not playing
How
this
is it
game with
not
you,
my
John.
business, Kim?
I'm not
I'm
playing.
responsible for
And
the
I'm going to go
IT of
back
this
to the
town.
thing about your son also. I thought about this. No,
Seriously?
no, stop.
My son's not even here to defend himself.
Stop. Let me explain it. Oh, we are going to go non-public. When you recuse yourself, you put us into a four-position board here. And if he votes 2 yes, 2 no, the default is no.
You're right.
So that's why he should recuse himself and not have that happen. Not recuse himself, but have a family member on a lower board.
That's
So
totally
again,
different.
this is
I
all,
don't see the
I
connection
want to
there.
talk about IT without him in the room, because this is what happens. I'm asking my fellow Board of Selectmen, why don't we take a vote? I would like to discuss an IT issue before we talk to the IT manager. That's what I'm asking.
I would agree with that.
I have a first. Sorry, you're the chair.
To me, it's still vague. Is it an IT,
I'm not going to
is it a
discuss it.
personnel issue with IT?
I'm not going to discuss
Or is it
it.
an IT?
I'm not going to discuss it. I'm not playing a game.
think
I
it's-
have three of us who heard the same
We
thing.
have a motion to go into non-public. Do we have a second?
I'll go.
Do we have a second?
I want to hear both sides.
All those in favor of it, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries abstain. Motion carries 3-1-1. So we will now be going into non-public at 9:31 PM. Everyone have a wonderful evening. Budget hearing is Thursday, and the bond hearing will be next Tuesday. Everyone take care.